Chapter 17:15. At first, Lu Jianzhong thought that the bandits in front of him were just a bunch of ordinary bandits. After he announced the name of the Mighty Dragon Escort Agency and bribed them, the other party would definitely retreat. However, who would have thought that after the leader took the 100 gold coins, he would sneer without even looking at it? What Mighty Dragon Escort Agency? I have never heard of it. I'll give you a chance. If you don't want to die, throw away everything and scram. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Jianzhong's expression gradually darkened. He waved his hand. Attack! He had said some nice words. Since the other party was so untactful, then he could only use force. Kill! As soon as he gave the order, the black-robed man and the others immediately rushed out in a line, leading their men to attack. Protect the young lady, Lu Jianzhong ordered. He also rushed out with his men towards the leader. Die! At this moment, he released all the energy in his body. His martial arts cultivation was no weaker than the foundation establishment stage. As the escort of the Mighty Dragon Escort Agency, Lu Jianzhong was quite famous in Jianghu. If he didn't have some ability, he would have died on the street. After feeling this aura, the expression of the knife-wielding man changed dramatically. The next moment, suddenly, a green light shot out from behind him. Lu Jianzhong screamed and rolled away. If one looked closely, they would see that his right arm was cut off at the shoulder and blood was gushing out. Big brother! Seeing this scene, everyone's expression changed dramatically. However, Lu Jianzhong endured the pain and stared at the knife-wielding man. Flying sword? May I ask which cultivator it is? At the same time, his heart completely sank. On Fire Spirit Star, the hierarchy was strict. Above mortals like them were cultivators. However, in the cultivation world, cultivators were not allowed to attack mortals. Just as he finished speaking, an old man in a Taoist robe slowly walked out from behind the knife-wielding man. The old man's expression was sinister and there was a hint of arrogance at the corner of his mouth. This old man is Taoist Qi Guang. The old man slowly said, Lu Jianzhong, hand over the wood spirit tablet and perhaps this old man can give you a chance to reincarnate. So you came for the wood spirit tablet? Lu Jianzhong smiled bitterly. The item he was escorting this time was this wooden spirit tablet. However, he didn't know what this wooden tablet was. He only knew that before he left, the escort master had repeatedly warned him that this dart could not be lost. Otherwise, the hundreds of people in the Wei Long escort agency would die without a complete corps. For this reason, the escort master even sent his only daughter to supervise the delivery of the goods. Who would have thought that this so-called dart would involve a cultivator? Senior Crimson Edge, we've long since viewed the delivery of goods as more important than our own lives. Thinking of this, Lu Jianzhong couldn't help but take a deep breath. My Mighty Dragon Escort Agency also knows cultivators. I hope Senior Crimson Light will give us face and not make things difficult for us. Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. Taoist Qi Guang's killing intent flashed. He opened his mouth and spat out a green light that whizzed towards Lu Jianzhong again. My life is over. Lu Jianzhong could not help but close his eyes in despair. He knew very well how powerful cultivators were, so he couldn't even muster the slightest bit of resistance. Ah! But at that moment, he suddenly heard Taoist Qi Guang's screams. He opened his eyes and saw that Taoist Qi Guang was coughing up blood. His expression was extremely dispirited as he looked around. Who is it? Which fellow Taoist attacked me? Right now, his expression was one of shock. He was already a late-stage golden core cultivator, but someone had unknowingly broken through his magic treasure. This person must be a cultivator, and one with a higher level of cultivation than him. At the same time, a leaf floated over with the wind and landed on Taoist Qi Guang. Ah! Taoist Qi Guang screamed. His entire body was cut in two by the leaf, and even his golden core did not survive. Dead silence. The surroundings suddenly fell into a deathly silence. The most shocked was Lu Jianzhong. He was a cultivator, but he died instantly? Run, run quickly, ghost! When the bandits came to their senses, they ran without another word, wishing they had two more legs. Even the immortal in their eyes had died, let alone them. In the blink of an eye, dozens of bandits had run away, leaving behind a stunned Lu Jianzhong and the rest. A moment later, Lu Jianzhong came to his senses. He knelt heavily on the ground and said respectfully, "Thank you, mountain god, for saving our lives." In the blink of an eye, everyone knelt down and kowtowed like they were pounding garlic. Hearing that, Yi Chen, who was 5 kilometers away, retracted his divine consciousness. He could not help but smile. Mountain god? Interesting. At the same time, in the capital city that was thousands of kilometers away, in a noble's mansion, a messenger pigeon landed in front of the window. A withered hand grabbed it and took a letter tube from its feet. After a while, a voice that seemed to be mixed with anger sounded. That trash Qi Guang actually failed and died. Could it be that other cultivators interfered? Another cry of alarm followed. The wood spirit tablet is extremely important. If other forces obtain it, pass down my order, let old ghost Han Ming take action. We must obtain the wood spirit tablet. In an instant, another messenger pigeon flew out. After Lu Jianzhong and the rest knelt to express their gratitude, they immediately urged everyone to set off overnight. After the group walked for more than 5 kilometers, they noticed a young man walking slowly on the official road in the distance. The black-clothed man from before pulled the reins and said, "Big brother, it's that brat just now." Lu Jianzhong secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He then controlled the horse to catch up to Yi Chen. "Little brother, we meet again." Yi Chen nodded lightly. Lu Jianzhong looked around and could not help but say, "Little brother, you seem to be heading to the capital city. You happen to be going the same way as us. Why don't we travel together? We can take care of each other?" He saw that Yi Chen was traveling alone. It was a long journey to the capital city, so he wanted to help him. Sure. Yi Chen was a man of few words. Lu Jianzhong smiled immediately and said, "Third brother, give your horse to this little brother." Although the black-clothed man was unwilling, he still gave his horse to Yi Chen obediently. In the second half of the night, the group finally could not hold on anymore. They chose a mining area to set up camp. They set up a bonfire and took out their dry food to satisfy their hunger. Everyone was chatting and laughing around the bonfire, drinking wine and eating meat. Lu Jianzhong glanced at Yi Chen, who was sitting far away. He picked up a pot of wine and some roasted meat and walked over. He said while smiling, "Brother Yi, eat something. It's still a long way." "Thank you." Yi Chen nodded lightly. Lu Jianzhong saw that he did not want to talk, so he did not ask further and returned to the bonfire. The black-clothed man from before looked at him and said hesitantly, "Big brother, what exactly is the wood spirit tablet?" He had been holding back this question for a long time. As soon as he said that, Lu Jianzhong's expression changed drastically. He glared at him. "Shut up. Don't ask what you shouldn't. Do you want to die?" Chapter 17-16. Seeing Lu Jianzhong's huge reaction, the hunk in black was shocked and dared not ask any more questions. The rest shut their mouths immediately. However, everyone had a question in their hearts. What exactly was this wood spirit tablet? How could it alarm a cultivator? Lu Jianzhong fell hard onto the ground. His face was rather pale. If one looked closely, they would notice that the wound on his right shoulder had split open. Blood was flowing out. "Big brother," the hunk in black helped him up immediately. At the same time, he shouted, "Call old Wang, call old Wang now." Old Wang was the only doctor in the escort team. He specialized in treating injuries from falls. Soon, a white-haired old man was dragged over by someone. The old man bent down to check Lu Jianzhong's injury. He then took out the medicine box that he carried with him to stop the bleeding. However, the bleeding could not be stopped no matter what. It was as if blood was gushing out. "Forgive me for not being able to treat Mr. Lu's injury." Old Wang forced a smile. The hunk in black grabbed his collar. "What nonsense are you talking about, old thing?" At that moment, a calm voice suddenly came from the side. "Use this to clean his wound. It might work." Everyone looked over. Nobody knew when Yi Chen had walked over with a wine gourd in his hand. The hunk in black was enraged. "Bastard, are you trying to kill my big brother?" "Third brother." Lu Jianzhong endured the pain and said, "Bring me the wine of the little brother." "Big brother." The hunk in black was unwilling. He did not believe Yi Chen. After all, Yi Chen was just an outsider. If he had any evil intentions, Lu Jianzhong would be dead for sure. "Do you want to see me die from blood loss?" Lu Jianzhong shouted. The hunk in black clenched his teeth and took a few steps forward to take the wine gourd from Yi Chen's hand. Ah! Not long after, a series of muffled groans mixed with pain rang out from the surroundings. What surprised Lu Jianzhong was that after the wine was poured into his wound, it really stopped bleeding. Moreover, there was a gentle medicinal effect on his wound. He could not help but walk to Yi Chen and clasped his fists. "Thank you for saving me, little brother. May I ask if you're proficient in medical skills?" "I can't say that I'm a doctor. It's just that my ancestors have learned how to treat injuries." Yi Chen took a sip of wine and smiled lightly. Lu Jianzhong's face lit up with joy. "May I ask if little brother knows how to treat a cold?" In Chinese medicine there were two types of colds. One was wind cold and the other was wind heat. "Did someone catch a cold?" Yi Chen asked. "Not bad." Lu Jianzhong nodded. "To tell you the truth, my young miss caught a cold today and hasn't gotten any better." "Bring me there." Yi Chen stood up as he spoke. Lu Jianzhong brought her out of the carriage and said, "Miss, this brother Yi is quite proficient in medical skills. Why don't you let him take a look at you?" "Thank you, Mr. Yi." The carriage was silent for a few seconds. Then, accompanied by a weak voice, a corner of the curtain was lifted, and a slender hand reached out. Yi Chen placed his hand on the wrist of the hand softly. He could clearly feel the latter's slight tremble, as if she was nervous. In reality, with her divine consciousness, she had seen through the curtain that there were 3 people in the carriage. There were 2 young girls and a strong old lady. Meanwhile, the young miss that Lu Jianzhong mentioned was not suffering from a cold, but a goo poison. He secretly transferred a wisp of spiritual energy into her body, and then quietly picked up a fallen leaf in his hand. He said to Lu Jianzhong, "Your young Mrs. Cold isn't too serious. She only needs to take this leaf to get better." "Leaves can treat illnesses too?" Lu Jianzhong was a little stunned. "Of course," Yi Chen said calmly, "not only can virgin urine treat illnesses, but it can also remove evil." He turned around and walked aside after saying that. Lu Jianzhong returned to the bonfire after putting the leaf into the carriage. Soon, all sorts of drinking and finger-guessing noises were heard in the wilderness. Someone said with a smile that he would return to the countryside to marry a wife after this, so that his wife and children could live together. Someone said that he would visit a brothel when he returned to the capital after getting the money this time. Yi Chen watched that quietly while sitting aside. He suddenly came to a realization for no reason. They were all ordinary people, ordinary people. Their lives were only a few decades, but they lived extremely comfortably. Although cultivators possessed incomparably astonishing power and long lifespans, all of them were on tenterhooks and tried to outwit each other. Perhaps this is the state of the human world. Yi Chen sat under the tree and took a sip of wine. His state of mind slowly changed. At that moment, a fragrant wind came. A lady in snow-white clothes with a veil on her face walked over. The lady tossed a wineskin to Yi Chen and said gratefully, "Sir, my young miss feels much better after consuming your leaf. She asked me to toast you." Yi Chen took it and took a sip. The lady looked at him blankly. She thought that he was as handsome as a god, but he had an indescribable temperament. She ran over while covering her face as her heart skipped a beat. Lu Jianzhong could not help but be a little stunned when he saw that. Young miss, after resting for a while, they set off again. Half an hour later, the convoy stopped again. All the horses could not help but kneel on the ground as if they had sensed some kind of fear. Subsequently, under everyone's gaze, a gigantic white crane suddenly flew over from the night sky. On the white crane, there was an old man in a gray robe. The old man carried an ancient sword on his back and looked rather sage-like. Chapter 17:17. Middle stage nascent soul. Yi Chen's eyes flashed. He could see through the old man's cultivation base at a glance. The gray-robed old man blocked everyone's path and said condescendingly, "Are you from the mighty Dragon Guard Agency?" Lu Jianzhong hurriedly went forward and bowed. "Senior, we are indeed from the mighty Dragon Guard Agency." He was rather nervous. "Then I'm relieved." The gray-robed old man leaped down from the white crane and said with a benevolent expression, "I'm Taoist priest Bai He. I'm here to escort you guys under escort Master Yang Yuan's request." "Your senior Bai He?" Lu Jianzhong was surprised and delighted. Clearly, he had heard of Taoist priest Bai He's name. After Taoist priest Bai He put away the white crane, he looked at the people in the carriage and said, "Xian or your grandpa Bai He is here. Why aren't you coming out to greet me?" Grandpa Bai He, a lady in snow-white clothes, leaped out of the carriage and looked at Taoist priest Bai He excitedly. "It's good that you're fine. Before I came out, your father told me to take good care of you." Taoist priest Bai stroked his beard and smiled. Only then did he notice Lu Jianzhong's severed right arm. He could not help but ask, "Were you guys ambushed along the way?" Lu Jianzhong could only tell him everything that had happened. After hearing that, Taoist priest Bai He smirked coldly. "So it's that evil cultivator, Qi Mang. A mere golden core cultivator dares to plot against you guys. If he's not dead, I'll definitely let him know what it means to extract and refine his soul." "Grandpa Bai, it's all thanks to the mountain god's presence that we're safe and sound," the lady called Xian said with lingering fear. "The mountain god's presence?" Taoist priest Bai He shook his head slightly. "There's no such thing as a mountain god in this world. Looks like a cultivator is secretly helping you guys." He was also a cultivator, so he naturally knew that there was no such thing as an earth or mountain god in this world. These were just foolish people comforting themselves. An immortal master secretly saved us? Everyone, including Xian was stunned. Only Lu Jianzhong seemed to have thought of something. He took a good look at Yi Chen as a thoughtful look flashed through his eyes. "Perhaps it's a cultivator passing by." Taoist White Crane's words dispelled everyone's doubts, and he said, "All right, let's go. We're still over 500 kilometers away from the capital, so we have to speed up." This time, he had Taoist White Crane's protection. Now that everyone had something to rely on, they immediately sped up and hurried on with Lu Jianzhong riding at the front. At that moment, Yi Chen suddenly looked forward. A wisp of divine consciousness shrouded the area and pierced the horse that Lu Jianzhong was riding. Boom! Caught off guard, Lu Jianzhong and his horse fell to the ground. This sudden scene caused everyone to be shocked. Almost at that moment, the road in front of them suddenly turned into an incomparably huge black ghost face. It opened its mouth and bit down fiercely. However, because Yi Chen stopped Lu Jianzhong's speed at the critical moment, everyone managed to escape. A surprised voice came from the huge ghost face. In an instant, Taoist White Crane finally reacted. It took a step forward to stand before everyone and looked directly at the ferocious ghost face. "Who dares to stop us?" As the ghostly face swayed, it suddenly turned into a hunchbacked old man. The old man's face was full of wrinkles like the bark of a tree. When it saw the former's face clearly, Taoist White Crane's expression changed drastically. "Old monster Han Ming. Haha, I didn't expect a mere nascent soul cultivator like you to know my name." Old Monster Han Ming's voice was hoarse, like metal rubbing against each other, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. The expressions of Lu Jianzhong and the rest changed as well. Even though they did not know who this old monster Han Ming was, they could still guess from Taoist White Crane's expression that he was not a pushover. Taoist White Crane's expression changed as he said, "Old Monster Han Ming, this mighty dragon escort agency was tricked by our five-element sect. Please give us some face and don't make things difficult for us." He knew very well that this old monster Han Ming was a mid-stage soul formation patriarch. How could a mere mid-stage nascent soul cultivator like him be a match for him? Five-element sect? Old monster Han Ming smiled disdainfully. A mere nascent soul cultivator like you dares to ask me to give you face? Even your five-element sect's patriarch isn't qualified. I only have one thing to say. Obediently hand over the wood spirit token, and perhaps I can leave your corpses intact. Hearing this, Taoist White Crane couldn't help but say, "Old Monster Han Ming, this wood spirit token belongs to the mighty dragon escort agency, you refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit." Old Monster Han Ming seemed to have no patience to listen to his nonsense. He waved his hand, and a dark light suddenly whistled out from his sleeve. If one looked closely, they would find that the cold light was actually a black snake, as thick as a baby's arm. As it flicked its tongue, the surrounding space was instantly frozen. Not good! Looking at the black snake whistling toward him, Taoist White Crane immediately roared and formed a seal with both hands. An energy barrier formed from a protective magic tool immediately appeared on the surface of his body. In the next moment, the protective barrier shattered, and his entire body flew out heavily. His expression was extremely shocked. A group of mere ants dares to interfere in the battle for the wood spirit token? Die. Old Monster Han Ming glanced at the crowd and immediately stretched out his hand, which turned into a gray bone claw that slapped toward the crowd. Seeing this, the crowd couldn't help but feel despair. At the right time, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the crowd and gently pointed at the huge flaming ghost claw. Boom! The flaming ghost claw instantly shattered. After seeing the figure's face clearly, Lin Fan was stunned. Everyone was completely stunned. Lu Jianzhong was extremely ecstatic. "Brother Yi, no, Senior Yi, it really is you." Chapter 17-18. At that moment, everyone looked at Yi Chen, who was walking out slowly. Their expressions were filled with disbelief. Especially Lu Jianzhong. In reality, ever since Taoist Master Bai He said that there was no mountain god in this world, he had guessed that the person who killed Taoist Crimson Light and saved them was Yi Chen. It was because Yi Chen was the only person who had interacted with them along the way. However, it was just a guess. He was not too confident. Now that he saw Yi Chen attack, he was extremely certain. Mr. Yi, the woman called Xian Er's eyes were a little blank. If she was not mistaken, it was this Mr. Yi who had treated her, who had neutralized old monster Han Ming's terrifying divinity, right? Taoist Master Bai He's expression changed as well. Subsequently, he said to Yi Chen in surprise, "Fellow, old monster Han Ming is a mid-stage soul formation powerhouse. You're not his match. Please escape the capital with Xian and the rest." Although Yi Chen's earlier attack had neutralized old monster Han Ming's attack, it was just a casual attack. After all, someone as young as Yi Chen's cultivation base was at most at stage nascent soul. "You want to escape? Can you?" Old monster Han Ming glared at Yi Chen. At the next moment, he waved his hands. With a flash of golden light, a giant golden tower that was over 30 meters tall appeared out of thin air. Then, it smashed towards Yi Chen. Buzz! At that moment, an extremely terrifying pressure descended. Taoist Master Bai He, who was standing in the distance, immediately felt like kneeling on the ground uncontrollably. Yi Chen merely glanced at old monster Han Ming. With a scream, old monster Han Ming exploded on the spot, turning into a bloody mist. At the same time, 25 kilometers away, A figure that was identical to old monster Han Ming suddenly fell to the ground. Damn it, who is this person? He actually destroyed my clone in an instant. His expression was extremely shocked. He had obtained a death scapegoat puppet from a ruined cave in his early years. It had always been his greatest secret. However, it was destroyed by Yi Chen. Thinking to this point, his heart ached and he said while trembling, "Could this person be a genius of the Fire Spirit clan? No, I must report to the Lord." As soon as he finished speaking, he intended to tear through the sky and leave. At that moment, Yi Chen, who was 50 kilometers away, scanned with his divine consciousness and instantly realized everything. The next moment, he stomped the ground heavily. Ah! Old freak Han Ming, who was 25 kilometers away, felt as if the space around him had suddenly shrunk, and he was actually forcefully crushed to death. The entire process was extremely clean. From the moment Yi Chen attacked to the moment he destroyed the two bodies of Han Ming, it only took a few breaths of time. When everyone snapped back to their senses, Taoist priest Bai He cupped his fists at Yi Chen solemnly. "So it's you, senior. Please forgive me for my negligence earlier." The shock in his heart had reached an extreme point. Yi Chen was just too young, but he had instantly killed the mid-deity transformation old freak Han Ming. Did that not mean that Yi Chen was at least a great perfection divine transformation stage being? Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help but beat wildly. This person must be an old monster. Such a thought quickly flashed through his mind, and he's an old monster who can retain his youthful looks. Lu Jianzhong, Xian, and the rest finally returned to their senses. "Thank you for saving our lives, Senior Yi." "It's nothing. It's not worth mentioning." Yi Chen smiled lightly. "Everyone, let's go. This time, I'll go smoothly with you guys. I guarantee that you guys will be safe." "Yes." Lu Jianzhong was surprised and delighted. He immediately urged the convoy to depart again without saying anything. However, the horse that Yi Chen was riding on was Lu Jianzhong's beloved horse. It was a Fergana horse that he had exchanged for outside the pass. At the same time, in a deep secret room in a certain mansion in the capital, there were dozens of thick torches inserted into the walls of the secret room. Dozens of thick torches were inserted into the walls of the secret chamber. As the bright yellow flames danced, it caused the light in the entire secret chamber to tremble. In the middle of the secret room, there was a black meditation cushion. At that moment, a skinny old man with black hair and beard was sitting on the cushion. The old man's eyes were slightly closed, and he was in a meditative state. At that moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. Han Ming was killed. How is this possible? His expression turned extremely grim, and his old face looked somewhat ferocious under the bright yellow flames. With a wave of his sleeve, an ancient bronze mirror appeared in front of him. As a series of mysterious hand seals landed on the bronze mirror, a masked face immediately appeared on the surface of the mirror. "Elder Qi, what's the result?" The masked man spoke slowly. His voice was extremely hoarse, as if someone was scratching iron with their claws. Plop! The old man knelt on the ground and said with a trembling voice, "Master, I'm useless. I sent 2 cultivators consecutively, but they were both killed." Trash! The man in the bronze mirror immediately flew into a rage. "You actually failed consecutively in a mere secular escort agency. What use do I have for you? Master, spare me." The old man became even more terrified. "Please give me another chance, Master. I will definitely obtain the wood spirit tablet." End of this chapter. Chapter 17-19. I will give you one more chance. The man in the bronze mirror coldly said, "This is the last time. The wood spirit tablet is far too important. If you fail again," although he did not finish his words, the old man could still sense the extremely terrifying baleful aura through the bronze mirror. He was so frightened that he lowered his head even more. 10,000 miles away, on Haiqing Planet, a black-robed old man stood on the summit of a mountain, revealing a gloomy expression. His eyes flashed and he clenched his fist. Kuei-er, don't worry. Great-grandfather will definitely take revenge for you. No matter who this person is, great-grandfather will go to the ends of the world and refine his soul. With that, he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. Then, he formed a seal with his hands and countless strange symbols appeared in the void. Go! He slapped his hand and these strange symbols disappeared into the void, as if they were rapidly flying in a certain direction. Anyone who kills a descendant of my wood spirit ancestor will be cursed by me. Even if you hide to the ends of the earth, I will still find you. The black-robed old man looked at the horizon with hatred. He seemed to carefully sense something, and then his face darkened once more. Fire Spirit Star. Someone from Fire Spirit Star killed Kuei-er. His eyes flashed like a viper. That bunch of trash from Fire Spirit Star wouldn't dare to kill someone from my wood spirit ancestor, no matter how much courage they had. Kuei-er must have been killed by someone from the Fire Spirit race. Thinking of this, his eyes flashed and he instantly disappeared from where he stood. An hour later, on Gold Spirit Star, in an immortal sect located deep in the void. In a spacious hall, a black-robed old man gloomily stared at a white-haired Taoist in front of him. Fellow Taoist Heavenly Secret, have you calculated it? The white-haired Taoist called Fellow Taoist Heavenly Secret was in high spirit. He stared at the star compass in front of him with a solemn expression that had never been seen before. This was because the star compass that he regarded as his most precious treasure had cracked. Such a scene had never occurred before. To the Heavenly Secret sect, the star compass represented the secrets of the heavens. Once the star compass shattered, it meant that he knew a secret of the heavens that he shouldn't have known. After a moment of silence, he wiped away the blood and tears at the corner of his eyes and sighed. Fellow Taoist Wood Spirit, are you sure you want to trace this karma? You killed my descendant. If I don't take revenge for this, I am not a human. The black-robed old man gnashed his teeth. Forget it, forget it. This old man owes you a favor back then. The white-haired old man sighed faintly and finally said, This person doesn't belong to our star field. I suspect he's from another star field. What did you say? The black-robed old man's expression changed slightly. If this person doesn't belong to our star field, why did he kill my Kuei-er? If that's the case, where would I go to find him? This old man does not know the cause and effect. The white-haired old man shook his head and said, however, that Fire Spirit Star's Fire Spirit Clan's profound fire has been stained by this person's karma. Perhaps there is some connection between the two of them. Fire Spirit Star Profound Flame? The black-robed old man's eyes flickered. Old Huoling's grandson? The next moment, his figure instantly disappeared from where he stood. The white-haired old man immediately said to the boy standing outside, Inform everyone that the Heavenly Secrets sect is about to be annihilated. The Heavenly Secrets sect is disbanded from today onward. Sect Master? The boy was shocked and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The Heavenly Secrets sect, which had been passed down for thousands of years, was suddenly disbanded? How could he accept this, let alone the many disciples of the Heavenly Secrets sect? After saying that, the white-haired old man seemed to have aged dozens of years. This old man has been stained by the forbidden heavenly secrets without permission. This old man is a sinner of the Heavenly Secrets sect. After seeing the astrolabe shatter, he knew that he was finished. The karma that came late would definitely take revenge on him. That was why he ordered the Heavenly Secrets sect to be disbanded. At the same time, on the official road less than 500 kilometers away from the capital city on Fire Spirit Star, the group of people moved forward with all their might. Yi Chen, who was riding on a horse, closed his eyes and fell into a meditative state. Suddenly, he felt a burning sensation between his brows. He immediately raised his hand to wipe it and his eyes flickered. When Lu Jianzhang saw this scene, the latter immediately stammered, Mr. Yi, why your forehead? Everyone looked subconsciously and saw a red diamond-shaped pattern on Yi Chen's forehead. The pattern was as bright as blood and seemed to be wriggling. No matter how Yi Chen wiped it, he could not wipe it off. Curse technique? Yi Chen's eyes flashed and he suddenly woke up. He was actually cursed by the curse technique. However, looking at the mark, it did not seem to be offensive. Instead, it was more like a tracking device. With my current strength, the person who can curse me has to be at least at the Tao integration stage. A thought suddenly flashed through Yi Chen's mind as he thought to this point, Mu Kuei, the wood spirit star. This mark only had the function of tracking. If the other party forcefully cast an offensive curse on him, the other party would definitely be the one who would suffer the backlash. Even Yi Chen could not erase such a mark in a short time. After all, the other party had sacrificed his lifespan. A Tao integration stage Almighty did not hesitate to sacrifice his lifespan to curse him. One could imagine the hatred between them. Forget it. Yi Chen could not help but look at the sky above him and smirked coldly. Come, I want to see how capable this Tao integration stage powerhouse from the outer realm is. Chapter 1720. Yi Chen was not concerned about the curse. As far as he was concerned, all of this was destined from the moment he killed Mu Kuei. As a wisp of morning sunlight shined through the clouds, the convoy finally passed through layers upon layers of mountains and arrived at the so-called capital city of Fire Spirit Star. As far as the eye could see, there were countless ancient buildings standing tall in this world. This so-called capital city was about the size of a county on Earth. Even so, the density of the population still surprised Yi Chen slightly. The rules of this world were no different from those of the cultivation world. There were differences between mortals and immortals, and mortals were the majority in the secular world. Occasionally, cultivators hidden in the secular world would be exposed under Yi Chen's vast divine consciousness. The only thing that surprised him was that the imperial city was actually constructed from countless profound formations. It could be said that the dragon energy of the 9 directions had gathered here. In particular, the buildings that went deep into the palace were blocked by formations. Even Yi Chen's divine consciousness could not penetrate them in a short time. On the contrary, there were 9 towering stone pillars in the capital. The inside of the stone pillars looked like skyscrapers on Earth. At this moment, there was a soul formation cultivator guarding each pillar, but these people didn't notice him. Seeing Yi Chen sizing up the 9 pillars in silence, a strange light flashed in Taoist White Crane's eyes. It subconsciously introduced them. Senior Yi, these are the 9 pillars of the Great Xian Kingdom. Each one represents a great cultivation sect of Fire Spirit Star. These 9 spirit pillars represent a total of 9 cultivation sects of Fire Spirit Star. Each sect has built their own spirit pillars here, and even sent out their sect elders to stand guard. This is all to facilitate contact with the mortal world, such as recruiting disciples, paying tribute to the imperial court, and so on. Yi Chen could not help but nod lightly as he listened to his introduction. He then said, "Do people from sects still need to pay tribute to the imperial court?" In his impression, the sects were people who lived in the 9 heavens, looking down on the secular dynasties. Taoist White Crane shook his head and smiled. "Senior Yi might not know, but on my Fire Spirit Star, the 9 great sects are all ruled by the Great Xian country." At this point, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. You can think of it as the Dexian Kingdom being the true ruler of the Fire Spirit Star, and the old emperor of the Dexian Kingdom is a Tao integration stage supreme being. The Qi dynasty? Yi Chen came to a realization. As soon as the group approached the gates of the imperial city, a large group of people came to greet them. The leader was a middle-aged man dressed in a brocade robe. Lu Jianzhang hurriedly took a few steps forward. "Escort master." When the middle-aged man saw that he had lost an arm, he couldn't help but ask, "Jianzhang, were you attacked on the way?" Lu Jianzhang nodded and said to Yi Chen, "We encountered a cultivator. However, it was all thanks to Senior Ye's escort that we arrived safely." At the same time, Taoist White Crane's lips moved slightly, as if he was communicating with the middle-aged man through divine sense. A moment later, the middle-aged man's body shook. Subsequently, he cupped his fists at Yi Chen gratefully and said, "Thank you for saving me, Senior Yi. I, Yang Yuan, can't repay you." "It's nothing." Yi Chen smiled lightly and said, "Since everyone has arrived safely, let's go our separate ways." With that, he took a step forward and walked straight into the imperial city. Very quickly, he disappeared into the sea of people. Looking at his disappearing figure, Yang Yuan revealed a thoughtful expression and said, "Taoist White Crane, is this person really a soul formation stage divine lord? I saw it with my own eyes." "It's true." Taoist White Crane nodded. Yang Yuan furrowed his brows and said, "This person is a little unfamiliar, and we met by chance. Why did he help?" "I don't know." Taoist White Crane shook its head slightly and said with a smile, "No matter who he is, our mission has been completed. We can bring the wood spirit tablet back to meet the sect master." "That's right." Yang Yuan heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Chen walked on the streets of the imperial city. He could not help but nod to himself at what he saw and heard. It was no wonder that the kingdom of Xian could suppress the 9 sects and become the master of Fire Spirit Star. Whether it was the city formation or the cultivation base and weapons of the guards, it was enough to sweep through any sect. In the end, he simply walked into an inn by the side of the road, paid a dozen spirit stones, and sat down in a room by the window. Soon, the waiter served the food and wine he had ordered. The waiter pointed at the drunken immortal duck on the plate and said, "Sir, this drunken immortal duck is the treasure of our inn. The ingredients are from a rank 2 spirit beast. It's delicious and not greasy." Yi Chen nodded slightly and gestured for him to leave. Then, he picked up a pot of wine and took a sip. As soon as he took a sip, the wine turned into a warm stream that flowed down his throat and warmed his limbs and bones. He was the first to sense an extremely rich fire element. As expected of Fire Spirit Star. Yi Chen nodded to himself. A mere pot of wine contains fire element. No wonder the price is so expensive. Just as he was about to taste the so-called drunken immortal duck, a person walked over from afar. "Brother, my master has taken a fancy to this seat. I wonder if you can part with it?" The man was dressed in armor and was very tall and sturdy. However, Yi Chen acted as if he did not hear him. He continued to sip the wine in his cup with his head lowered. Seeing this, the armored man's expression was sullen. He could not help but say, "Brat, are you deaf?" After saying that, he reached out to Yi Chen as if he wanted to throw him out. End of this chapter. Chapter 1721. Plop. However, in the next moment, he felt his body kneel down uncontrollably as if an invisible hand was controlling him. "You!" The armored man's face was filled with fear. At that moment, a faint voice came from behind Yi Chen. "Brother, my guard is insensible. Please forgive him." As soon as he finished speaking, a young man in a brocade robe walked over slowly. However, when the young man noticed Yi Chen, he was stunned at first. Then, he said in surprise, "Senior? Senior Yi? It's you." Yi Chen looked up and realized that the former was Huaxian who had just parted with him. However, Huaxian was dressed in a brocade robe. He was extremely noble, and there were many guards behind him. "Why are you here?" Yi Chen was surprised. Huaxian took a few steps forward in surprise and joy. He cupped his fists at Yi Chen and said, "Senior, I came here with my sister and a few others to experience this shop. I didn't expect to see you, Senior." After saying that, his face darkened and he looked at the guard kneeling on the ground. "You blind thing, get out!" The guard felt the pressure was relieved and hurriedly responded respectfully, "Yes, Prince Huaxian." After that person left, Yi Chen looked at Huaxian. "You're a prince." Huaxian said with embarrassment, "I'm the 6th prince of the Xian kingdom. I've embarrassed myself in front of Senior Yi. I didn't have the time to tell you in detail." After saying that, he seemed to have thought of something and could not help but look at Yi Chen. Senior, is there anything you need to do on this trip? Please tell me. I'm just looking around. Yi Chen shook his head slightly. Hua Xian invited. If that's the case, why don't you come to my residence for a chat? Yi Chen pondered for a moment and nodded in the end. Subsequently, another man and a woman walked over. After seeing Yi Chen, their expressions turned cold. Why is it you again? These two people were Hui Yun and Hua Xian, whom Yi Chen had seen earlier. At the same time, in the ancestral land of the Xian kingdom, an old man in a golden robe was meditating with his eyes closed as if he was on a mental journey. His body faintly emitted a trace of Tao. In the next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked toward the sky. Ancestor Wood Spirit? With that, he stood up and took a step forward. A moment later, in the starry skies above Fire Spirit Star, the figure of the golden-robed old man appeared once more. The former looked at a black-robed old man in the distance and gloomily said, "Fellow Taoist Wood Spirit, your Wood Spirit Star and my Fire Spirit Star have never interfered in each other's affairs, so why did you attack my Fire Spirit Star's great protective array today?" Old Hualing, stop pretending. The black-robed old man was so angry that he laughed. Your Fire Spirit clan's unfilial descendant, Hua Xian, colluded with outsiders to kill my clan's son Mukue. How can I not be angry? What did you say? The Fire Spirit Patriarch's expression changed slightly. Our Fire Spirit race joined forces with the people from other regions to kill your grandson. Not bad. The black-robed old man's voice was gloomy. This is the result that this old man found the Elder of Heavenly Secrets to calculate. Don't tell this old man you want to deny it. As soon as he said that, Patriarch Huoling's face changed slightly. He could not be more familiar with Tianji Laoren. This person studied the art of divination and stargazing and had always been a man of his word. If he said that Mu Kuei's death was related to Fire Xian, then it was most likely true. When he thought up to here, he couldn't help but take a deep breath and say, "Fellow Taoist Wood Spirit, don't worry, I'll definitely give you an explanation." Old Hualing, don't even think about protecting him. The black-robed old man sneered. Arcane fire can be exempted from the death penalty, but the one who killed my grandchild from the outer realms is currently in your Fire Spirit Star. You must hand him over to me, otherwise don't blame me for breaking into your Fire Spirit Star. Give this old man the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. With these words, Fire Spirit Ancestor reappeared in the imperial city of Great Xian Country on Fire Spirit Star. He flicked his finger, and as the golden dragon of Providence above his head roared, a streak of golden light whizzed out. Pass my order, tell Hua Xuan to come see me immediately. Everyone did not dare to hesitate and began to search for Fire Profound. At that moment, Fire Profound was chatting with Yi Chen in the restaurant. Suddenly, a streak of golden light shot toward him. Fire Profound subconsciously grabbed it, and the golden light instantly turned into a golden jade slip. After reading the information, Fire Profound's expression changed slightly. Then, he looked at Yi Chen apologetically and said, "Senior Yi, I still have something to do. Forgive me for not being able to accompany you." After Yi Chen nodded, he turned around and walked out of the restaurant. He headed straight to the core of the imperial city. Above the majestic hall, runes surged. The golden-robed old man stared at Fire Profound, who was kneeling on the ground, with an ugly expression. "Are you saying that the person who killed Mu Kuei is a young man with the surname Yi?" "Great-grandfather, yes." Fire Profound nodded slightly. After sensing that the atmosphere was a little off, he could not help but ask, "Great-grandfather, why are you suddenly asking about this?" Meeting his gaze, Fire Spirit Ancestor said indifferently, "Someone saved the people of my Fire Spirit Star. Great-grandfather should naturally be concerned." Even though he said that, an imperceptible killing intent flashed through his eyes. Thinking to this point, he immediately said, "Fire Profound, immediately invite this fellow Yi over." Great-grandfather wants to personally thank him. End of this chapter. Chapter 1722. In the imperial city, which was heavily guarded by formations, many divine consciousnesses patrolled back and forth. The rich imperial energy turned into dragon shadows that circled in the air. The two figures entered the depths of the imperial city unimpeded. Wherever they passed, all the guards knelt down. Finally, the two of them arrived at the entrance of a magnificent palace. Above the palace, the words Imperial Temple surged. Huoxian cupped his fists at Yi Chen. Senior Yi, great-grandfather is waiting for you inside. Yi Chen raised his head and looked at the majestic palace. Finally, he took a step out and disappeared from the world. Just earlier, Huoxian had told him that the old emperor of Dexian, the patriarch of Huoling, wanted to see him. Yi Chen was filled with curiosity about this master of Fire Spirit Star, the only Dao integration stage powerhouse. That was why he agreed to the patriarch of Huoling's invitation. Yi Chen entered the imperial temple with his hands behind his back. The space inside the imperial temple was very large. Even with his divine consciousness, he could not see everything clearly. There were many golden pillars with dragon patterns in the hall. Vast dragon energy flowed down the golden pillars, almost liquefied. In the center of the hall, there was an old man in a golden robe sitting on a meditation cushion. He was like a god, shining brightly. "Fellow, you've come from afar. Please take a seat." The golden-robed old man waved his sleeve, and a meditation cushion appeared in front of Yi Chen. As soon as Yi Chen sat down, a puppet with a numb expression walked over with a cup of tea. After the golden-robed old man made an inviting gesture, he said with a faint smile, "I'm the master of Dexian, the patriarch of Huoling. May I know how to address you?" Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly, "So it's fellow Yi." The patriarch of Huoling smiled. "I heard from Huoxian that it was fellow Yi who saved him on Haiqing planet. Therefore, I specially invited fellow Yi here to express my gratitude." "It's nothing. Fellow Huoling, you don't have to be so polite." Yi Chen shook his head slightly. "On the contrary, I stepped into Fire Spirit Star without permission. I apologize to fellow Huoling, fellow Yi, you're not from Fire Spirit Star." The patriarch of Huoling was surprised and then said, "The reason why I ask this is because I've never seen a young talent like you before." "Of course." Yi Chen nodded. "Not only am I not from Fire Spirit Star, but I'm also not from the surrounding galaxies." A gleam flashed in the eyes of the patriarch of Fire Spirit, and he said without changing his expression, "Did fellow Yi come alone? To tell you the truth, when I was young, I also traveled to other star regions." The reason he asked this was because he could not figure out Yi Chen's background. For example, Yi Chen was a member of the primordial remnant tribe, or if he had a follower on this trip. "Indeed, I came here alone," Yi Chen said with a smile. A strange light flashed in Fire Spirit Ancestor's eyes. Then, he calmly smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist, Yi has come from afar. As the master of Fire Spirit Star, I should do my best to show you my hospitality." As soon as he said that, he waved his sleeve. A ray that looked like the sun appeared before Yi Chen immediately. It was a spirit fruit wrapped in essence sunfire. It looked like a red fruit, with surging fire elements flowing in it. This is the divine item of Fire Spirit Star, the Fire Spirit Fruit. The patriarch of Fire Spirit introduced with a smile, "This fruit blooms once every 1,000 years and bears fruit once every 1,000 years. It's greatly beneficial to those who cultivate fire-type cultivation technique. Please accept it, fellow Yi. It's just a small gift." "You're too polite, fellow Huoling," Yi Chen smiled and took the Fire Spirit fruit. He took a bite in front of the patriarch of Fire Spirit. In an instant, the Fire Spirit fruit turned into a warm current that entered his body. "Ha ha ha ha!" At that moment, the patriarch of Fire Spirit suddenly let out a burst of laughter. Yi Chen was puzzled. "Fellow Huoling, why are you laughing?" "Why am I laughing?" The patriarch of fire spirit changed his previous politeness and said with a cold smile, "Stupid brat, you've been tricked. This fruit is indeed a fire spirit fruit, but you shouldn't have swallowed it so eagerly. Because the fire element contained in this fire spirit fruit is too terrifying. Even I would need to spend a lot of time to completely absorb a fire spirit fruit. You're really stupid to the extreme. You actually ate it in one gulp. At this moment you must feel as if your body is burning like the sun. The burning pain is unbearable, right?" Yi Chen revealed a pained expression when he heard that. His expression changed slightly as he said, "Fellow Hualing, why did you want to harm me? Why would I want to harm you?" Ancestor Fire Spirit coldly sneered. "Good question. You outsider, you are simply too bold. You actually dared to touch fellow Taoist Wood Spirit's grandchild. You nearly brought a calamity upon my Fire Spirit star. Do you think I should tear you into pieces?" At the end of his sentence, his expression was incomparably ferocious. He could no longer conceal the killing intent on his face. "Why, you're biting the hand that feeds you." Yi Chen's expression changed drastically. He looked hateful. "I saved your people out of kindness, but you treat me like this." "So what?" The patriarch of fire spirit laughed out of extreme anger. "I know that your cultivation base is extraordinary. It's very likely that you're at the late-stage void refinement stage. I should have suppressed an ant like you on the spot." End of this chapter. Chapter 1723. There was a hint of mockery at the corner of his lips. "I can't figure out your background. I'm worried that you have an extraordinary background or that you have a protector accompanying you. Unfortunately, I managed to figure out your background with just a few words. You're too stupid. I think you're also a member of an ancient foreign tribe. You're destined to die here today." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly waved his sleeve. In an instant, sizzling sounds could be heard. All of a sudden, countless black threads shot down like a storm in the entire hall. They enveloped Yi Chen instantly. Almost at that moment, a loud bang came from midair. A thick black lightning snake charged at Yi Chen. Yi Chen's expression remained the same. A golden gleam flashed on his body as he threw a punch upward. Rumble! Accompanied by a loud bang, the black lightning snake exploded instantly. At the next moment, the overwhelming black electric snakes seemed to have turned into black divine chains as they whizzed toward Yi Chen. Roar! Roar! At the same time, a dragon roar came from the dragon-patterned golden bead that was originally standing in the hall. Then, it shone brightly. As the dragon silhouettes circled, an extremely terrifying force field formed around Yi Chen. Formation? Yi Chen's eyes flickered. "You don't have to struggle anymore." At that moment, the patriarch of fire spirit's voice sounded again. "This is the soul annihilation formation that I set up countless years ago. Even a Tao integration powerhouse will be captured if they're trapped in it. Don't worry. After I capture you, I won't kill you. I'll only hand you over to fellow Wood Spirit and let him deal with you." Before the patriarch of Wood Spirit could finish, suddenly, he saw the formation that trapped Yi Chen tremble violently at first, then it collapsed. Subsequently, Yi Chen walked out step by step with his hands behind his back. The patriarch of fire spirit's expression changed instantly. "Impossible! How did you break my formation?" "Impossible?" Yi Chen chuckled softly. "You're too confident if you think you can imprison me with this tiny formation of yours. Didn't you eat my fire spirit fruit and have to use all the true essence in your body to suppress the rich fire element?" Patriarch Huo Ling's expression changed again and again. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and said in shock, You're also a Tao integration stage mighty figure? You're not too stupid." Yi Chen chuckled. "Old man, do you really think I'm a fool? In fact, from the moment Xian Hor invited me, I guessed your intentions. After I entered, all of your words and actions verified my guess." The moment he finished speaking, the fire spirit ancestor could not help but gasp and subconsciously say, Fellow Yi, it's a misunderstanding. After finding out that Yi Chen was also a Dao integration stage powerhouse, he really did not want to fight the former. After all, this was an important place for the Dexian country. If the two of them were to fight, it would be earth-shattering. Boom. However, Yi Chen did not give him a chance at all. He took a step forward and released his vast pressure. The next moment, he seemed to have transformed into a primordial ferocious beast. With a slap, a golden hand the size of a house slapped toward the former. The hand seemed slow, but it had a terrifying power that could shatter the void. It instantly broke the entire imperial temple. At the same time, outside the imperial city, Xian Hu looked in the direction of the imperial temple with anticipation. Great-grandfather must have had a good chat with Senior Yi this time, right? He thought to himself. After all, to him, Yi Chen was no less terrifying than the fire spirit ancestor. Both of them were peerless powerhouses who had swept through the galaxy. They would definitely sit down and discuss their cultivation experiences. However, at that moment there was an explosion between heaven and earth. He suddenly raised his head and his gaze froze. His entire body froze. The imperial temple that was hailed as a holy land by all the people of the Dexian country had collapsed. From afar, it looked like a giant golden palm the size of a house had shattered it and slammed down from the void. What happened? Oh no, the imperial temple has collapsed. Such an earth-shattering commotion alarmed all the powerhouses in the Dexian country. In just a few breaths of time, many powerful auras rushed toward the imperial temple. When everyone arrived, they were all extremely shocked. A young man in green seemed to have transformed into a god, fighting with the fire spirit ancestor that they believed in. Who is this person? He can actually fight with the patriarch. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Rumble. In the void, when the fire spirit ancestor saw the golden hand that was slapping toward him, he immediately opened his mouth and spat out a black ruler that appeared out of thin air. The ruler spun in the air and then grew in size. Countless runes appeared from it. At the same time, a huge black pillar of light shot out from it and blocked Yi Chen's golden hand. An ancient treasure? Yi Chen smirked coldly as if he was disdainful. Watch me break this trash. At the next moment, he exerted force on the golden hand that he stretched out, and golden divine runes appeared on his palm. In an instant, a power that was 3 times more terrifying than before erupted from his palm, and he gripped the black ruler tightly. Boom! Under the fire spirit ancestor's shocked gaze, the mysterious Heaven Rui ruler that he regarded as a treasure was forcefully crushed. Before he could react, a strong killing intent came from afar. The fire spirit ancestor hurriedly said, "Fellow Yi, please listen to my explanation. It's not what you think." End of this chapter. Chapter 1724. Explain? Let me beat you up first before explaining. Yi Chen ignored his begging. He took a step forward and extended his hands. His palms were like blades as he stabbed them into the ground. Ancient God attack, mountain shaking strike. Subsequently, Yi Chen shouted and lifted both of his hands. It was the God Clan's great strength technique that he had obtained from the Panga Godhead. It could shatter a galaxy with a flick of his finger, but it required extremely powerful physical strength. With his current physical body, although he could not shatter a galaxy with a flick of his finger, it was a piece of cake for him to shake a mountain. Rumble! The entire imperial city rumbled continuously. Under everyone's gazes, a chasm that looked like a natural chasm appeared on the ground. The chasm was as big as a canyon, causing many people in the imperial city to reveal shocked expressions. They hurriedly fled to safety. There's an earthquake! What kind of divinity is this? The gigantic canyon spread out with Yi Chen's palms as the center. In the end, it covered the entire 3,000 meters of space where the imperial temple was. Boom! With an earth-shattering bang, Yi Chen raised his hands again. The entire imperial temple was uprooted and lifted vertically. At that moment, everyone who witnessed this scene was dumbfounded. One had to know that the entire imperial temple was 3,000 meters in diameter. From afar, it looked like a mountain. However, Yi Chen had lifted it into the air. What kind of technique is this? The Patriarch of Fire Spirit's expression changed drastically. Even though he was a Tao integration stage almighty now, it was his first time seeing such a heaven-defying and terrifying technique. Old man Fire Spirit, take this. Yi Chen held the imperial temple in his hand and took a step forward. He shattered the void and smashed it at the Patriarch of Fire Spirit. At that moment, he was like an ancient god that had descended. He was unstoppable. Shocked, the Patriarch of Fire Spirit immediately retreated. At the same time, he waved his golden robe. At the next moment, a golden bolt of lightning shot out of his sleeve and flew above Yi Chen's head. It turned into an ancient scroll that shone with golden light. Open! Fire Spirit Ancestor pointed at the golden scroll from afar and let out a roar. Buzz! A wisp of green light immediately bloomed from the tip of his finger. The green light transformed into a ray of green light and fell into the golden scroll. The golden scroll first trembled violently, then swayed left and right, and then suddenly opened up. Suddenly, a golden sword of light that was over 30 meters long whistled out from within it, and the sword chi stirred up the space around it in an extremely ferocious manner. If one were to look carefully, one would notice that it was actually densely covered in various mysterious runes, and it emanated a horrifying energy. Slash! The Fire Spirit Ancestor decisively bit the tip of his tongue and spat a mouthful of blood on the giant golden sword. He let out a thunderous sound. Boom, boom, boom. Subsequently, the sword chi on the golden light sword skyrocketed. The sword intent was like the Milky Way in the 9 heavens, slanting as it charged at Yi Chen and the imperial temple in his hand. Rumble! The gigantic golden sword tore through layers of the void, emitting a series of thunderous rumbles. Everywhere it passed, the void was split into two, and an extremely terrifying spatial storm surged out from within. At the same time, the imperial temple in Yi Chen's hand was the first to shatter. Countless violent energy mixed with sand and rocks flew as if hell had descended onto the mortal world. Just when the giant golden sword was about to land on Yi Chen advanced instead of retreating. He stretched his neck and used his head to resist the power of the giant golden sword. Boom! Accompanied by a terrifying explosion, the giant golden sword's blade landed heavily on Yi Chen's neck. However, the sharp blade instantly emitted sparks. Then, the entire giant golden sword exploded, turning into countless golden rays of light that scattered. At that moment, almost the entire sky shook. Dozens of spatial cracks appeared around Yi Chen, and terrifying gales raged non-stop. Ah! The Fire Spirit Ancestor could not help but spit a mouthful of blood. It was unknown whether it was out of heartache or shock. At the same time, his entire body was swept away by the terrifying storm. His hair was disheveled, and he was in a sorry state. Seeing this scene, many of the powerhouses of Great Xian country were incomparably shocked. The old emperor in their hearts was actually not this young man's match? Many of the citizens of Great Xian country were even more shocked. In their eyes, the Fire Spirit Ancestor was the god of Fire Spirit Planet, but now, he had been defeated? You've gone too far. Accompanied by a furious roar, the Fire Spirit Ancestor became extremely ferocious at this moment. His brows were filled with madness. At the same time, he waved his sleeve, and a 7-faced mirror appeared in his hand. The mirror was simple and mysterious. Explode! The Fire Spirit Ancestor roared and chanted. Boom! With a loud bang, the 7 mirrors lit up before suddenly exploding. However, they didn't shatter into pieces. Instead, they transformed into 7 golden balls of light. The 7 golden balls of light were arranged in a strange manner. Then, the shadows of 7 stars appeared on their surface. From afar, they looked like the Big Dipper. The fire dragon patriarch put his hands together, and the 7 golden balls of light suddenly connected to each other, forming a star formation. Chapter 1725. At the same time, the entire imperial city began to shake again. Everyone was shocked to discover that thick yellow pillars of light suddenly rose into the sky from all directions around Yichun. The yellow pillars of light were extremely thick, and each of them towered into the clouds. There were yellow runes engraved on their surfaces, and there was a faint wave of vast spiritual energy. In an instant, the yellow pillars of light shone brightly and connected together. Eventually, they formed a khaki-colored encirclement that enveloped Yichun. "Yi, you're going too far." The Patriarch of Fire Spirits stood outside the yellow circle and looked at Yichun with killing intent on his face. "This is the Earth Dragon Star Formation. It can kill Tao integration powerhouses. I'd like to see how you're going to deal with it." His heart was bleeding. Not only did Yichun put him in a sorry state time and time again, he even destroyed his weapon. He even caused the entire imperial city to fall into chaos. How could he vent his hatred if he did not kill Yichun? Earth Dragon Star Formation? Yichun could clearly feel the endless power of petrification coming from all directions as he stood in the formation. The power of petrification seemed to want to turn the true origin energy in his body and his entire body into stone. This is a formation that uses the power of the stars to activate the power of the earth veins of this planet? Yichun's eyes flickered. He could tell that the formation was extraordinary at a glance. He narrowed his eyes slightly as he thought to this point. A crackling sound came from his body. At the next moment, his body suddenly swelled to more than double its original size. If one took a closer look, they would realize that his body had turned bronze, as if he had transformed into a bronze man. At the same time, an extremely terrifying primordial aura spread out from his body, making him look like a god. The most terrifying thing was that there was a faint flash of starlight between his brows. The starlight was like a star, and anyone who looked at it would fall into it. "I'll use you to practice. Let's see how the God Clan's divinity is." Yichun took a deep breath in. He attacked with his palm after saying that, the first form of the 9 styles of splitting heaven, star-shattering palm. The palm strike was casual and did not cause any fluctuations at all. However, the further it went, the more majestic it became. Rumble! Under countless shocked gazes, they saw Yichun's palm touch the formation barrier that enveloped him. In an instant, the heavens cried out and the stars moved. All that was left was a giant palm print that seemed to be 100 miles in size. That huge palm print filled the universe, covering all directions. It was as if it wanted to pluck the stars and the moon, causing the stars in the sky to move. Bang! Under this palm, the earthly dragon star formation, which was regarded as the strongest move by the fire spirit ancestor, suddenly collapsed like a thin piece of paper that was instantly pierced. At that moment, everyone's gaze froze. In their eyes, there was only the giant palm that seemed to be 100 miles wide, and the void that was completely shattered by the giant palm. At this moment, there was no wind in the void for thousands of miles. It was as if a huge ravine had formed, splitting the sky and the earth in half. Heaven's might, this is the real heaven's might. Many powerhouses of fire spirit star felt their courage crack apart, their divine souls trembling. Ah! At that moment, the fire spirit ancestor let out an incomparably shrill scream. His entire body suddenly aged at an incomparably terrifying speed. If he looked like an old man in his 60s before, then at this moment, his hair was white and his face was covered in wrinkles. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was on the verge of death. He did not hesitate to consume his lifespan to activate the earthly dragon star formation. Now that the formation was broken by Yichun, he immediately suffered a backlash that was 10 times the price. The fire spirit ancestor could not help but tremble as he looked at Yi Chen, who was walking toward him step by step. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. Yi Chen looked at him from a close distance. Suddenly, he raised his arm and pointed at the spot between his brows. "Fellow Yi, spare me, spare me!" Under countless stunned gazes, the fire spirit ancestor finally knelt before Yi Chen on the spot. He looked extremely terrified. The fire spirit ancestor, the #1 in Great Xian country and fire spirit star, was now completely terrified. Besides causing everyone's jaws to drop, they were also slightly taken aback by this. Ji great-grandfather lost? In the distant crowd, Hua Xian watched this scene blankly. Until now, he still felt like it was a dream. Even though he was certain that Yi Chen was an almighty who lived in seclusion before this. His cultivation base was probably not lower than his great-grandfather's. However, after witnessing it with his own eyes, he was still extremely shocked. Yi Chen raised his brows and stopped what he was doing. He looked at the fire spirit ancestor coldly and said, "Did the wood spirit ancestor ask you to fight me?" "Yes." The fire spirit ancestor broke out in cold sweat. He did not dare to hide anything. The wood spirit ancestor found me earlier and asked me to give him an explanation for Mu Kuei's death. Otherwise, he would barge into my fire spirit star. That's why I agreed to his conditions. Yi Chen's eyes flickered, but he was secretly sneering. His guess was right. The wood spirit ancestor first used his lifespan to cast a curse on him by Sun Han. Then, he forced the fire spirit ancestor to attack him. Seeing that Yi Chen was silent, the fire spirit ancestor gritted his teeth and said, "Fellow Yi, your abilities are unparalleled. I'm willing to serve you as my master. From now on, I'll let you do whatever you want." End of this chapter. Chapter 1726. At that moment, countless people heard what the Patriarch of Fire Spirits said. They were silent and in disbelief. The Pillar of Fire Spirit Nation was begging for mercy from a young man. Hua Xian felt like he was dreaming when he saw this. No. All of this was fake. It was a dream. Yi Chen looked down and smiled disdainfully. "I can spare your life, but what's your value? What can you do for me?" The Patriarch of Fire Spirit's expression changed, and he broke out in cold sweat. His heart sank as he hurriedly said, "Fellow Yi, as long as you let me go, I can give you anything. De Xian, natural treasures, or even the entire fire spirit star." As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Was that the legend in their hearts? Everyone's hearts were in their throats as they waited nervously for Yi Chen's judgment. His words would determine the fate of the Patriarch of Fire Spirit and even the entire Fire Spirit tribe. If the Patriarch of Fire Spirit died, the Fire Spirit tribe would be doomed. Yi Chen thought for a moment and said coldly, "Sure." Phew. Hua Xian heaved a sigh of relief in the crowd. He looked at Yi Chen's back. Confidence. Powerful. Meanwhile, Hua Yun and the rest were stunned. This should not be the outcome. The Patriarch of Fire Spirit's tensed heart had just relaxed when Yi Chen's voice came from above his head. "I can spare your life, but I have to plant a restriction in your body. If you have any ulterior motives, I'll destroy your soul with a single thought and you'll die." What? The Patriarch of Fire Spirit's body trembled. He subconsciously wanted to refuse, but before he could make a sound, he heard Yi Chen's cold voice that was filled with killing intent. He heard Yi Chen's cold and murderous voice from above, or, "I'll kill you now." The Patriarch of Fire Spirit's expression changed drastically. After some thought, he finally accepted his fate. "Master, please plant the restriction." Yi Chen pinched his fingertips and drew an incantation in the air. He separated a wisp of divine consciousness and turned it into a crystal thread. It entered the Patriarch of Fire Spirit's soul space with a whoosh and entangled the Patriarch of Fire Spirit's soul. As long as Yi Chen willed it, his soul would be destroyed. The Patriarch of Fire Spirit sensed the danger in his soul. The restriction was like a time bomb, and his face was filled with bitterness. He was a beginner body integration powerhouse after all. It was not impossible for him to reach the tribulation stage in the future. However, he had to bow to Yi Chen now. It would be a lie to say that he was unwilling. He forced a smile as he thought to this point. He knelt at Yi Chen's feet immediately and said, after taking a deep breath in, "Senior Yi Chen is the master of the Fire Spirit clan." It echoed throughout the entire Dexian kingdom. Many people from the Dexian kingdom were shocked. The Dexian kingdom had changed owners. The imperial city had been destroyed in the battle just now. In the hall of the palace beside the imperial city, led by the Fire Spirit ancestor, the elites of the Dexian kingdom, Huaxian and the other heaven's favorites gathered together. Yi Chen walked in slowly and sat on the main seat. "Greetings, my lord." Everyone knelt on the ground to greet Yi Chen. Perhaps some people were unwilling, some were perplexed, and some were scheming. Especially Firecloud. The young man she had looked down on back then had become an existence she needed to look up to in the blink of an eye. But in Huaxian's eyes, there was a trace of confusion and complexity, as well as a bit of worship. Deep within his eyes there was a flame that was growing stronger. Yi Chen did not care about these. In the path of cultivation, the strong were respected. In the face of absolute strength, the weak could not resist. "Master, these are the elites of my Dexian kingdom. Here is a list of my Fire Spirit tribe's treasures. Please take a look." After saying that, a scroll appeared in the Fire Spirit ancestor's hand. Just by looking at this scroll, one could tell that it was extraordinary. It was made of fire dragon whiskers. Almost at that moment, outside Fire Spirit's star, the Wood Spirit ancestor appeared again, his true origin force vibrating, resounding through heaven and earth. "Old Wood Spirit, come out and see me." When the Fire Spirit ancestor heard this, he looked troubled. He looked at Yi Chen, who was sitting on the seat. "Master, this old servant will go and kill him now." Yi Chen's eyes flashed. "It's okay, we'll go and meet him." "Yes." The Fire Spirit ancestor nodded and disappeared from the hall. He tore through the void and appeared outside Fire Spirit's star, facing the Wood Spirit ancestor. When the Wood Spirit ancestor saw the Fire Spirit ancestor's old and decrepit appearance, he was surprised. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen also appeared next to him. His green robe fluttered in the wind, his expression indifferent. The Fire Spirit ancestor immediately knelt down and bowed. "Greetings, my lord." "Master?" The Wood Spirit ancestor was shocked. He actually made the Tao integration stage Fire Spirit ancestor call him master. What shocked him the most was that the Fire Spirit ancestor's hair was white, and the aura on his body was extremely weak. "Run." The Wood Spirit ancestor was shocked. Without saying a word, he turned around and unleashed his true origin force, fleeing like lightning. Clearly, he realized something. Yi Chen sneered. "It's too late to run now." With a wave of his right hand, a lightning phenomenon appeared behind him. Roar! A 3-meter-wide lightning dragon appeared. It flickered with dark purple lightning that could destroy the world as it charged straight at the Wood Spirit ancestor. The lightning dragon's speed was incomparably fast. Wherever it passed, the void was destroyed. The Wood Spirit ancestor roared. He turned around and his true origin force erupted as he punched out. Boom! The lightning dragon exploded, and the Wood Spirit ancestor was blasted back. He was in a sorry state, and the power of lightning in his hands had caused him to suffer heavy injuries. At the moment of the explosion, Yi Chen crossed the void and caught up to the Wood Spirit ancestor. Mountain embracing seal. Forming a seal with both hands, a palm that was as huge as a mountain slammed down heavily. It was as if it was facing the clouds, a vast and heavy ancient mountain. "You forced me to do this," Ghost would chant. An evil spirit screamed, and the surrounding air became extremely cold. Thousands of ghosts howled as if hell had descended. He waved his shadow-like branches and collided with it. Bang! The evil spirit was crushed. The ancient mountain came crashing down. The wood spirit ancestor was shocked. He hurriedly took out the wood spirit clan's magic treasure, the wood spirit shield. Boom! The mountain-shaking seal collided fiercely with the jade void new wood shield. The jade-like shield was on the verge of collapse. Blurred. The wood spirit ancestor inside the shield spat a mouthful of blood. There was a green glow lingering on his body, as if it was healing him. Not a bad magic treasure. Yi Chun could tell that the shield could absorb a portion of the attack energy and use it to heal. The wood spirit ancestor glared at Yi Chun with resentment. It's either you or me who dies today. With that, he shook his sleeve and a spear appeared. It seemed to be a combination magic treasure with the wood spirit shield. The shield flashed with a green light and resonated with each other. Blood Sea Divine Wood Spear. The fire spirit ancestor shouted, Master, you have to be careful. That spear and shield are the wood spirit clan's combination magic treasures. When the two are combined, their power is not weaker than a spirit treasure. The wood spirit ancestor held the two treasures in his hands, and the phenomenon behind him was shocking. In a sea of blood, there was a towering green tree. The tree's shadow squirmed wildly, as if it was nurturing a ferocious devil. It was strange and terrifying. Kill! The wood spirit ancestor stabbed with his spear. Blood shadows surged and pierced through the air. Yi Chen's blood seemed to be about to break out of his body. The power of Yi Chen's physical body exploded. Golden light shone brightly as he threw a punch. The stars lost their color, and the ground shook like thousands of horses galloping on the battlefield. The spear and the fist collided. The moment they collided, there was silence. In the blink of an eye, the center of the collision was like a star exploding. It shone brightly, and the violent energy destroyed the void. End of this chapter. Chapter 1727. Immense energy erupted in all directions, spreading out with a destructive aura. Not far away, countless fire dragons roared furiously from the fire spirit star formation, and the flames surged. The weaker stars that were closer had already been reduced to dust, floating in the vast sea of stars. It shook the starry sky. Who's fighting? On the other side of the void, two figures with vast auras descended. Shockingly, they were two godlike phantoms. The Tao integration stage mighty figure of the metal spirit planet stood in the starry sky. His eyes pierced through countless stars and saw the wood spirit patriarch confronting a young expert. The Earth spirit planet's Tao integration stage patriarch also appeared. Sensing the aftershock of the battle, he frowned and said, "Where did that person come from? He's actually able to suppress wood spirit patriarch. Could he be some peerless prodigy from the primordial star system?" The metal spirit patriarch shook his head and continued to watch the battle in the starry sky. How is this possible? In the void, the wood spirit patriarch's expression was extremely ugly. This person was actually using his physical strength to resist his spirit treasure spear. Yi Chun stood proudly in the air and sneered, "The treasure is not bad, but unfortunately, it ends here." In the next moment, he took a step forward and shouted, "Heaven burning earth melting palm." In an instant, the entire starry sky was like a land of magma. Flames illuminated heaven and earth, and scorching magma burned the void, emitting billowing white smoke. Seeing this, the fire spirit patriarch's expression changed drastically. What kind of divine ability is this? Even I can't burn the void. The ancestor of the wood spirit tribe looked at this overwhelming palm in horror. The flames reflected the starry sky red. Even the two Tao integration stage mighty figures in the distance could see it clearly without using their ocular technique. The two of them looked at each other and saw the deep shock in each other's eyes. This person is too powerful. The wood spirit patriarch knew that the wood spirit shield could not withstand it. He gritted his teeth and spat out a drop of green blood essence that contained powerful life essence. Verdant wood demonic spell. He used his own life essence to cast the verdant wood demonic spell. Half of the wood spirit patriarch's body instantly turned into wood, like half a tree. Immediately after, he waved his palm. The E-wood spiritual shield shone brightly in the air, and an old face appeared on the towering tree. It was dignified and solemn, as if an emperor had descended. The originally countless thin branches became extremely thick. The green treetop slowly withered. The huge tree trunk rose from the ground and resolutely charged towards the burning heaven palm. Boom! Flames and giant trees, destruction and rebirth, the two were fighting fiercely, evenly matched. At the same time, the demon in the shadow of the tree was released. Demonic energy overflowed the heavens, and corpses piled up like a sea of blood. The demon howled and vanished into the void as the wood spirit patriarch threw the spear. Yi Chen frowned slightly. The blood sea divine wood spear disappeared from his divine consciousness. Roar! Yi Chen let out a deafening roar. The roar that came from his body shook the surroundings. The golden light around his body disappeared into the surface of his body and turned into a bronze color. He used all his physical strength for defense. Whoosh! The blood sea divine wood spear suddenly appeared in front of Yi Chen. With a flash, even Yi Chen could not react and was stabbed in the chest. Bang! It was as if he had been hit by a nuclear bomb. The earth-shattering impact made Yi Chen take a few steps back. Then, the earth-shattering explosive energy exploded in his chest. The stars were destroyed and the void collapsed, causing the starry sky to tremble non-stop. The four old men looked at the place of the explosion. That terrifying power. If it were them, they would definitely die. Very soon, they saw a golden light streak across the dark sky. It was as fast as lightning, heading straight for the wood spirit patriarch. How is this possible? He's fine. No. Run. Seeing the young face in the golden light, the wood spirit patriarch's face was filled with despair. He no longer had the intention to resist. He could not even kill him like that. No, he could not hurt him. Run. He could only escape by returning to Wood Spirit Planet and relying on the formation. From afar, a golden light was chasing after a green glow. Yi Chen mocked, "You can't escape death no matter where you run." His speed suddenly increased, and the true origin energy condensed on his fingertips shot out. Greenwood Emperor's finger. The fingertips behind him were like an emperor brandishing a sword. They advanced with indomitable will, sweeping through everything and killing countless enemies. In the blink of an eye, the wood spirit patriarch spat out another drop of blood essence. Bang! The wood spirit patriarch was easily shattered like an old tree. He's dead? Yi Chen released his divine consciousness to search. Soon, he found something unusual and threw a punch. In the void, the wood spirit patriarch was on the verge of death. He formed a seal with both hands, and the green wood scroll floating in front of him emitted a green light that enveloped him. Innate Emu Divine Escape Technique. The wood spirit patriarch soon disappeared before Yi Chen's eyes. Did he escape? The golden spirit patriarch and the earth spirit patriarch saw the wood spirit patriarch fleeing frantically in a sorry state. They looked at each other. This person could not be offended. Yi Chen soon arrived at Wood Spirit Planet under the guidance of the Fire Spirit Patriarch. At that moment, the Green Dragon formation that was formed by the power of the entire Wood Spirit Planet had already been activated. Countless green dragons roared, and ancient and mysterious runes appeared. Skyfall. Yi Chen's physical body exploded as true origin energy gathered under his feet. He stepped out and smashed down like a stone pillar that could hold up the sky. Roar! Roar! The green dragon was attacked and soared into the sky. With the power of the coiling dragon, it shattered the stone pillar that descended from the sky. Yi Chen waved his sleeve. Emperor Brush appeared in his hand and he waved it in the air. Break! Dong! 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 The formation shook endlessly as the word break, and the green dragon fought fiercely. Soon, countless green dragons spat out dragon flames that filled the sky, burning the word break into ashes. The Wood Spirit Patriarch was overjoyed when he saw that Yi Chen was helpless in the green dragon formation. Yi Chen looked at him in disdain and immediately used the ancient god roar. An ancient beast appeared out of thin air. Roar! With a furious roar, the earth shook and the sky spun. Countless Wood Spirit planet powerhouses, who were maintaining the formation, were killed by the shockwave. The Wood Spirit Patriarch was shocked. How could this be? This was an ancient formation. He roared crazily, "Quick! Someone continue to maintain the formation and have someone hold it off." This roar shook the starry sky and shattered the stars. The two Tao integration stage powerhouses of the Gold Spirit Planet and the Earth Spirit Planet were shocked again. Yi Chen grabbed the air and grabbed an azure dragon. Then, something strange happened. His body absorbed the azure dragon's power. It was an ancient god physical ability. The azure dragon phantom condensed by the green dragon formation was actually the world's most extreme wood power. It could be used to cultivate the ancient god body. You can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, but by chance you get it without even looking for it. Yi Chen was overjoyed and immediately used the ancient god technique I. This technique I was an ancient god ability that he had inherited from the Pangu divine spark. It was extremely magical. Then, under the Wood Spirit Patriarch's shocked gaze, starlight flashed between Yi Chen's brows. The power of the stars gathered like a newborn star, turning into a magical vertical eye. Absorb! The vertical eye of the stars shot out rays of starlight and absorbed the azure dragon phantom. The formation was broken. At that moment, Yi Chen charged into the Wood Spirit Planet and headed straight for the Wood Spirit Patriarch. Chapter 1728. The ultimate Imu power was completely absorbed by Yi Chen. The green dragon formation of Wood Spirit Planet could no longer be maintained and shattered like a mirror. The Wood Spirit Patriarch watched in fear. His last trump card had shattered like a bubble with the green dragon formation. He used all his strength to use his escape technique to return to Wood Spirit Planet. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood essence and his face was extremely dispirited. A planet full of vitality and lush green trees appeared in front of him. The lush primeval forest occupied more than half of the planet, and the green waves were like the sea. Yi Chen stepped in and charged into Wood Spirit Planet like a comet. "Stop him! Don't let him enter Wood Spirit Planet! Kill!" Many Wood Spirit Planet powerhouses soared into the sky and intercepted him. All kinds of divine abilities erupted, covering the sky and earth. Colorful true essence layers overlapped, and the power was astonishing. Even ordinary Tao integration stage powerhouses did not dare to face it head-on. Yi Chen casually slapped out with his palm. Boom! The void trembled, and the mountains of Wood Spirit Planet shook. The forest and green sea below were destroyed in an instant, revealing a charred and broken land. Divine abilities were also reduced to dust along with the people who blocked his way. The remaining few divine abilities could not break through his body. No one could resist the power of his palm. It was as if he had entered an unstoppable realm. Yi Chen stood in the air, his powerful divine consciousness enveloping the entire Wood Spirit Planet. He narrowed his eyes and asked in confusion, "Not here?" Yi Chen then used his ocular technique. His eyes were like torches, making it impossible for people to look directly at him. The blazing light seemed to be able to see through the void. He searched thousands of small worlds and soon locked onto that small world. The Wood Spirit Patriarch was hiding in the source of the world. In front of him was a mountain of natural treasures, frantically absorbing them to heal. "Found you." Yi Chen smiled and gathered his true essence. He pointed at the sky. The originally clear sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Countless lightning snakes swam, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. It was as if a great terror was brewing. The powerhouses of the Wood Spirit clan looked at the sky in shock. The power that covered the sky gathered, and the weaker ones had already been crushed to the ground. The entire planet fell into panic. No, how can there be such a powerhouse? I don't want to die. Yi Chen pointed. Sky-severing finger. The dark clouds in the sky condensed into a gigantic finger that gave off a suffocating energy. It suppressed the stars as if it was facing death. Yi Chen stood in the air and looked down at everyone. His body was enveloped in dazzling divine light. He was like a god that had descended to the mortal world. He was invincible. The wood spirit ancestor fled in a sorry state like a stray dog. He said with shock and anger, "Sire, can we stop here? This old man will no longer pursue the matter of you killing my grandson." Yi Chen looked down at the patriarch of wood spirit beneath his feet in a condescending manner. His expression was extremely cold. "Where else can you run to? I said I want you dead, so you must die. The person that I want to kill won't live. You've gone too far." The wood spirit patriarch's face was ferocious and filled with hatred. He wanted nothing more than to hack Yi Chen into 1,000 pieces for killing his grandson, destroying his formation, and destroying his planet. Soon, his face turned ashen, and he looked absent-minded. He slowly unclenched his fists, and the quintessential essence he had quietly gathered dissipated. His will to fight for his life vanished. At the end of the day, he was the cause of all of this. If he had not underestimated Yi Chen's ability, he would not have cursed Yi Chen, nor would he have ordered the fire spirit patriarch to attack him. Now, he finally understood why the fire spirit patriarch would acknowledge Yi Chen as his master. Powerlessness. Hopeless powerlessness. As a Tao integration stage almighty, he felt crushed by his strength. All of his techniques were crushed by Yi Chen. It was like a giant wheel crushing an ant. It shattered the hatred in his heart and his dignity. "I'm willing to serve you as my master. Please let me go." The patriarch of wood spirit lowered his head and knelt before Yi Chen, submitting to him. However, a hint of resentment flashed through his lowered eyes. "I'll just bear with it. There's no need to fight to the death with this person. It won't be too late to take revenge after I recover." Yi Chen scoffed. How could he not know what he was thinking? He looked at the wood spirit patriarch like he was looking at a corpse. He approached slowly step by step with killing intent. The wood spirit patriarch's expression changed drastically. He looked at Yi Chen as if the Grim Reaper's scythe was about to slash down. It was bone-piercing. He was terrified and hurriedly said, "Sir, are you going to fight me to the death? If you really force me, you won't be able to get away with it. Do you think you're worthy?" Yi Chen smirked in disdain. He took a step forward and attacked the wood spirit patriarch again. Die. Heavenly lightning destruction palm. The thunder was deafening and resounded through the world. Countless living beings were terrified. The entire sky was illuminated by the lightning as if it was daytime. It was dazzling. Dark clouds churned and lightning was faintly discernible. A gigantic lightning dragon coiled around Yi Chen like the god of lightning had descended. A green glow flew out from the wood spirit patriarch's sleeve. The divine jade shield sensed that its master was in danger and immediately soared into the sky. A dark green shield stood tall like an old tree, resolutely blocking in front of the wood spirit patriarch. The lightning palm brought with it countless bolts of lightning as it whizzed down. The deep purple lightning flashed by and destroyed the void. Boom! The power of lightning wreaked havoc everywhere. Wherever it passed, living beings were annihilated and turned into dust. The lightning dragon rolled, and the earth cracked and mountains collapsed, leaving a 1,000-feet-deep ravine on the ground. The power of lightning erupted, and the green shield was instantly destroyed. The divine jade shield flew back, and the green light on its body flickered before gradually dimming. It was like a person who was about to die. The wood spirit patriarch's face was pale behind the shield, and he spat out blood continuously. He roared crazily, his voice resounding through the starry sky. "Fellow Jinling, fellow Earth, are you really going to watch me die?" This was his last hope. The expressions of the two in the void changed slightly. They looked at each other and hesitated. There were many Tao integration powerhouses in this galaxy. The 4 great planets were allies in the outside world, and they were intimately interdependent. Although the 4 great planets usually fought openly and secretly, if there was an invasion, they would abandon their prejudices and fight together. What should they do now? Yi Chen was disdainful. He looked at them disdainfully and shouted, "You still want to ask for help? Who dares to save you?" Rumble! Yi Chen slammed his palm down again. The lightning dragon appeared again, and world-destroying lightning descended from the sky. Thunder and lightning intertwined. When the thunder god was angry, corpses would lie for thousands of miles. The divine jade shield on the ground trembled violently. It wanted to block again, but it was powerless to fly away. Its green light flickered desperately. The wood spirit patriarch looked at the lightning that covered the sky in fear. Yi Chen's power was like a towering boulder pressing on his heart. He, who was weak and powerless, had long given up resisting. A trace of regret arose in his heart. His face was ashen and his heart was dead. He was also a Tao integration powerhouse, and he could control the life and death of others like this. However, he was the one who died now. The lightning palm pressed down. At the moment of the wood spirit patriarch's life and death, a loud shout sounded in the void, "Fellow, please stop." End of this chapter. Chapter 1729. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 resplendent divine lights swept through the sky, causing the void to tremble. The divine abilities were earth-shattering. Square golden hand. Golden hands that blotted out the sky and covered the earth surged from all directions, shocking everyone. Earth Dragon Roar! Roar! An earth dragon rose from the ground. It had a stone head and an earth dragon body. Its coiling dragon roar shook the surroundings. It collided with the annihilating thunder palm. Boom! Sand and rocks flew everywhere, and the earth shook. The ground was lifted up, and a huge crater that was dozens of kilometers wide appeared at the explosion site. Oh my God, so terrifying! Everyone on Wood Spirit Planet looked at the huge crater as if they were looking at an abyss. They were uneasy and uneasy. The Earth Spirit Patriarch and the old man had to work together to block the Thunder God's palm. Their eyes were filled with seriousness. Previously, they had seen the shocking power from afar, but now that they had taken the palm head-on, they realized that its power was like 10,000 mountains collapsing. Powerful. This person was too powerful. Subsequently, 2 figures appeared before Yi Chen, revealing the faces of 2 old men. One of them had a sharp face and a burly figure. His entire body was filled with golden light, and his eyes were sharp. The other person wore an earth-yellow robe and had a long beard. He always had a faint smile on his face, and he looked amiable. He looked like an ordinary old man. As soon as the 2 of them appeared, they unleashed their full strength at the Tao integration stage, causing heaven and earth to freeze. The pressure filled the air and shook the void. When the powerhouses of Wood Spirit Planet saw the 2 of them, they could not help but reveal expressions of ecstasy. It's the Metal Spirit Patriarch and the Earth Spirit Patriarch? The Wood Spirit Patriarch was relieved. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and said with a smile, "You guys are finally here." At the same time, the Fire Spirit Patriarch's expression changed. He descended to Yi Chen's side and introduced the 2 of them immediately. Yi Chen's eyes flickered slightly when he heard that. He looked at the 2 of them with a burning gaze and asked, "Are you guys going to be my enemy?" The Metal Spirit Patriarch had a fiery temper and was about to flare up. The Earth Spirit Patriarch welcomed him with a smile and said amiably, "I wouldn't dare. You're powerful, but we're allies. We can't just sit by and do nothing." As he spoke, he glanced at the Fire Spirit Patriarch and continued, "Why don't we make the decision and resolve the grudge between you and Old Wood Spirit?" Yi Chen raised his brows. "Really? The Patriarch of Golden Spirit and the other two were communicating through voice transmission to understand what had happened. They found out that Yi Chen had killed Mu Kuei and the Patriarch of Wood Spirit was being hunted for revenge. The Earth Spirit Patriarch wore a troubled expression as he stared at the heavily wounded Wood Spirit Patriarch with a strange look. Mu Kuei was killed by Yi Chen. It was reasonable for the Wood Spirit Patriarch to seek revenge. However, he was not as strong as Yi Chen. Even if he was in the right, he would be in the wrong. He had no choice but to lower his voice. The Earth Spirit Ancestor sighed softly and smiled. It was Mu Kuei who was blind and offended fellow Taoist. He deserved to die. Now that old man Mu Kuei is heavily injured and has learned his lesson, why don't you spare his life? He could not help but look at Yi Chen after saying that. Yi Chen was still standing in the air. His green robe was fluttering in the wind. His eyes were indifferent and his expression was cold. No one could tell what he was thinking. Of course, we will offer up precious treasures. We hope that fellow Taoist can be magnanimous and stop here. This grievance will be settled here. The Wood Spirit Patriarch waved his sleeve, and golden light shone brightly. Several natural treasures with overwhelming spiritual energy appeared. There was even one that was about to be nurtured into a spirit treasure. The green spring is a divine healing medicine. Rumor has it that it can regrow flesh and bones. Also, the Wood Spirit Ginseng is about to transform into a spirit. The Fire Spirit Patriarch counted them like they were his family treasures. He hurriedly said, "He must make a heavenly Tao oath not to attack my master in the future. Otherwise, he will die." The Wood Spirit Patriarch ignored the Fire Spirit Patriarch and only looked at Yi Chen. However, he was disappointed. There was no greed in Yi Chen's cold eyes. As expected, Yi Chen scoffed. He did not take them seriously at all. He said with a sharp gaze, "I can resolve it, unless he cripples his own cultivation base." He had always been like this. Either he did not offend anyone, or since he had offended them, he would definitely eliminate them. Otherwise, if the Wood Spirit Patriarch came to Earth to take revenge in the future, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Wood Spirit Patriarch's face was filled with despair when he heard that. Then, he revealed a ferocious expression and firmly refused. He shouted, "Losing my cultivation base is no different from dying." The Earth Spirit Patriarch was furious as well. He gritted his teeth and said, "Fellow, must you insist on doing this? Those who stand in my way will die." Yi Chen looked cold. "You guys are no exception." The two of them were furious. They immediately sent voice transmissions and joined forces. "What an arrogant young man. We'd like to see how you're going to deal with the three of us. How dare you?" The Fire Spirit Patriarch was about to unleash his true origin energy and join the battle to help Yi Chen kill the enemy. Yi Chen waved his hand and rejected. He was domineering like a supreme emperor as he said disdainfully, "I alone am enough to deal with these three pieces of trash. You're going too far." The Gold Spirit Patriarch was the first to attack. Jade Gold Palm. The giant palm that looked like it was made of jade overflowed with golden light. Everyone could feel the terrifying power contained within it as they charged at Yi Chen. The battle was about to begin. The Earth Spirit Patriarch stomped the ground, causing the soil to churn as if there were many fish swimming in the ground. Then, a dark red poisonous miasma rose. Crimson Dragon Miasma. The Wood Spirit Patriarch took the opportunity to consume the holy wood spring and sat cross-legged to heal his injuries. Yi Chen shouted coldly, "How dare you show off in front of me with such petty tricks? Azura heaven-suppressing kill. Kill." Immediately, tens of millions of Azuras appeared behind Yi Chen. They shouted in unison and fought with the golden jade palm and the miasma dragon. The entire void was like an Azura battlefield. Blood energy surged into the sky and killing intent surged. The battle caused the sky and earth to dim, and the sun and moon to lose their light. Soon, the Wood Spirit Patriarch recovered from some of his injuries and soared into the sky, joining the battle. Yi Chen fought 1 against 3. His 2 fists could fight against 6 hands. He used all his divine abilities, and the space beneath his feet collapsed layer by layer. He fought from Wood Spirit Planet to the starry sky. Many of the powerhouses on Wood Spirit Planet were shocked. The 3 patriarchs were all Tao integration almighties, and their cultivation bases and divine abilities were extremely powerful. This time, they would definitely be able to kill this person and make him die a graveless death. The Wood Spirit Patriarch endured his injuries and gritted his teeth. "You guys hold him back. I'll kill this person." The Wood Spirit Patriarch waved his hand, and a wooden spike that exuded an ancient destructive aura appeared. He spat a mouthful of blood and clenched his fists, shattering the Blood Sea Shadow wooden spear and Jade Void shield. It was as if some ancient terror was gradually awakening. The 2 of them looked at the Wood Spirit Patriarch in surprise. His aura had shrunk, and most of his body had turned into wood. They sighed in their hearts. Yi Chen was unwilling to spare him. He could only fight to the death. When the Fire Spirit Patriarch sensed the aura of the wooden spike, he was even more terrified. The depths of his soul actually wanted to escape. "It's the clan's treasure. The Patriarch once said that it can't be used unless the clan is destroyed." A Wood Spirit Planet powerhouse exclaimed, "I didn't expect the Patriarch to use it to kill this person. He must kill that person." After saying that person glared at Yi Chen with resentment as if he wanted to witness Yi Chen die here with his own eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 1730. It transformed into a terrifying black wooden spike. It transformed into a gigantic beast with a single horn. The beast's body was ferocious, but it wasn't covered in ordinary fur and scales. Instead, it had ravine bark that looked like dead wood. It had no eyes, and there was only a huge wooden spike on its head. It seemed like it wanted to pierce through the sky. Greenwood Unicorn. The Patriarch of Fire Spirit and the other 2 recognized the giant beast as the totem of Wood Spirit Planet, the god of protection. Rumor has it that this giant beast only existed in the Desolate Era. I didn't expect Old Man Wood Spirit to feed it with his body and summon it. Yi Chen faced the desolate aura head-on. It was ancient and violent. He frowned and waved his hand. Using the power of the stars as ink and the black sky as paper, Emperor Brush wrote wildly in the void. "Seal, break, kill." The 3 words flowed with starlight and suppressed the giant beast. The giant beast roared, and its horn danced wildly. The 3 words were torn apart instantly, but they were enveloped by starlight and sealed the void. 6 paths of reincarnation fist. Yi Chen clenched his right fist tightly and threw a punch. 6 phenomena filled the starry sky, shaking the universe. The 6 paths of the reincarnation of gods and ghosts shocked the world and made ghosts and gods weep. The giant beast's 4 feet broke through the starlight seal. Its horn crushed the void and charged at Yi Chen like a train at the speed of light. Rumble! The horn shattered with a resounding boom. Roar! As the giant beast roared, countless ghosts and gods charged out from the 6 paths. The gods and ghosts slaughtered and killed the giant beast. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The 2 of them were shocked as well. They sucked in a breath of cold air, and a vicious glint flashed in their eyes. They had to use their full strength. The Patriarch of Gold Spirit took a deep breath in and took out the clan's treasure, the golden fire wheel. The golden wheel was like the sun. The bright sun was like fire, scorching and dazzling. Phantoms of fire phoenixes appeared in the starry sky, and the phoenix cries rose to the sun. The golden wheel burned the sky with golden flames, destroying everything. The star stones beside it had long been burned into thick white smoke. The scene was terrifying. The Earth Spirit Patriarch also took out the heaven-shaking apricot yellow flag and injected all his true origin energy into it. In the starry sky, the flag fluttered and a yellow light shot into the sky, as if it had awakened the sleeping god of the earth. In the distance, a meteorite the size of a star with raging flames streaked across the silent sky. It rumbled continuously as it charged at Yi Chen like a cannonball. The patriarch of Jinling and the other two stood proudly in the air. They looked straight at Yi Chen with killing intent on their faces. Yi, it's not too late for you to kneel and surrender now. Yi Chen stood proudly in the air as divine light surged. His long hair danced wildly like a fiend as he said domineeringly, I've already said that anyone who blocks me will die. As he finished speaking, he took a step forward and charged forward. Both sides fought again. Yi Chen's physical strength exploded as he performed the 33 divine fist creation. He forced the patriarch of Golden Spirit to retreat and spit blood. How is this possible? His physical body is actually not afraid of my golden pure fire. The Golden Spirit ancestor couldn't believe it. His strongest magical equipment was actually useless against him. Yi Chen, on the other hand, was overjoyed. First, it was the Yiwood power. Now, it was the Li Fire Golden Quintessence. His body could absorb it directly and it could not hurt him at all. Ha ha! Yi Chen laughed out loud. Star-picking hand. The power of the stars rushed over from all directions, gathering into a giant hand that could pluck stars. Bam! With a flip of the hand, the Golden Spirit ancestor was sent flying like a comet, shattering countless star stones. The star power in his hand surged, and the absorption power in his hand exploded. Yi Chen snatched the golden fire wheel away. Yi Chen gripped it tightly. His physical body exploded as he absorbed all the golden fire essence in the golden fire wheel. No, what did you do? The Golden Spirit ancestor felt that the golden fire wheel's charm had completely disappeared. It was like an ordinary object, and he spat blood non-stop. After absorbing it, Yi Chen had 3 types of ultimate energy in his body. His body could sense the earth dragon chi in the sky overturning apricot yellow flag and was eager to try. He looked at the earth spirit ancestor and smiled strangely. When the earth spirit ancestor saw that the golden spirit ancestor had lost, he was shocked. He gritted his teeth and exploded again. The yellow light shone several times brighter. Second Chinese network. The meteorite suddenly accelerated, as if it had traveled through time and space, surging violently. Rolling heat waves surged toward him. The meteorite kept enlarging in his eyes like a star, covering the sky and the sun. Yi Chen did not dare to underestimate it. Divine light erupted again. It was even more dazzling than the meteorite. Universe collapsing thunder fist. The true origin energy in his body gathered at a point at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye. The point became smaller and smaller until it could not be seen. There was no earth-shattering sound, nor was there any phenomenon that made people feel awe. It was as if only Yi Chen and his slow punch were left in the entire starry sky. The fist and the meteorite were like eggs hitting a rock. At that moment, rumble! Countless black lightning flames erupted from the center of his fist. The meteorite the size of a star shattered inch by inch from the center and shattered into pieces. The rubble was obliterated by the black lightning. In the world, only the sound of the explosion and thunder echoed in the void, shocking the starry sky. The Earth Spirit ancestor spat a mouthful of blood as he suffered a backlash. Yi Chen summoned the sky-overturning apricot yellow flag and absorbed all the earth dragon chi in it. Everyone was shocked again. They could not suppress it even after using 2 clan treasures. It was so terrifying. There was only fear in the eyes of the half-wooden wood spirit ancestor. He made up his mind and flew toward Wood Spirit Planet. He chanted the ancient incantation and summoned the ancestral pagoda. Rumble! A huge pagoda rose from the ground of Wood Spirit Planet. It towered into the clouds and was wrapped in lush vegetation. The entire pagoda was a huge mountain that was carved with exquisite craftsmanship. Everyone on Wood Spirit Planet was confused. What was that? The Wood Spirit ancestor shouted. His voice could be heard by everyone in the Wood Spirit clan. This is our ancestral pagoda, the Wood Puppet Spirit Sealing Pagoda. As long as the powerhouses of the clan enter it and inject energy, they can suppress ye. The people of the Wood Spirit clan were overjoyed. Was that true? Many powerhouses entered it to suppress Yi Chen. However, the Wood Spirit ancestor turned his head and could not bear to look at it. There was one thing he did not say. The energy injected by the ancestral pagoda was life. The giant beast Wood Spike only consumed his lifespan and cultivation base, but the Wood Puppet Spirit Sealing Pagoda would sacrifice all the powerhouses of the Wood Spirit clan and ruin the future of the Wood Spirit clan. It would be exterminated. Seeing the giant pagoda, the Fire Spirit ancestor's expression changed drastically. Up until now, the Wood Spirit ancestor had the most tricks and the most profound foundation. The rumor that a patriarch of the Wood Spirit clan had stepped onto the path to heaven and become an immortal was true. Even if he used all his tricks, he would not be able to defeat it. Then, he looked at Yi Chen with a complicated expression. How should he deal with it? After the giant pagoda absorbed the life force of the powerhouses of the Wood Spirit clan, it shone with a green light. With a rumble, it rose from the ground and flew toward Yi Chen. Like a mountain descending from the sky, a black shadow enveloped Yi Chen and grew larger and larger. Yi Chen did not have time to react. In just an instant, the giant pagoda locked onto Yi Chen and smashed down. Boom! The suppressive force reverberated, shaking the starry sky and collapsing the void. Yi Chen was suppressed inside. That's great! Everyone on Wood Spirit Planet was overjoyed and cried tears of joy. They felt like they had been reborn after a calamity. The two of them also exhaled. If we continue fighting, we'll have to admit defeat. I didn't expect fellow Wood Spirit to have such a treasure. The Wood Spirit ancestor coughed heavily and said weakly, "Thank you for saving me." Chapter 1731. Everyone looked at the mountain-like tower in the starry sky. It had suppressed the nightmare in their hearts, and they no longer had to be afraid. Suddenly, a rumble came from the tower, and the cheers stopped abruptly. Rumble! The giant tower shook nonstop. The plants on the tower swayed wildly, and sand and stones rolled down. Immortal slaying flying saber, break! Kacha! The giant tower that was refined from the entire mountain cracked in the middle, and a saber gleam shot out. It was extremely sharp and had invincible divine might. The giant tower was split into two. Impossible! The patriarch of Wood Spirit watched in a daze as the young man in green slowly walked out of the broken tower. He was like a god that had descended, looking down on all living beings and the world. I'll show you what a real immortal spell is. Yi Chen took a step out and grabbed the air. He shouted, "Technique of 3 disasters and 9 disasters, Black Sun Disaster." In an instant, the starry sky lost its color, and a strange phenomenon appeared. Immediately, a black sun appeared above everyone's head. The surrounding stars became dim, as if all the light had been absorbed by the black sun. It was extremely strange. The entire star fell into endless, silent darkness, as if the end of the world had arrived. A black storm surged around the black sun, and the void shattered as if it was going to devour all living beings. It was the immortal Lord Calamity's divine ability again. Under everyone's gaze, the black sun crushed toward the patriarch of Wood Spirit. The god of death had arrived. No! The patriarch of Wood Spirit watched the black sun rushing toward him in despair. He waved all kinds of magic treasures in a frenzy. With a flash of light, the indestructible magic treasures turned into dust the moment they came into contact with the black storm. Soon, the black sun descended, and the black storm swept over. The patriarch of Wood Spirit's protective true origin energy was torn apart like paper. Ah! A scream resounded through the starry sky, and the patriarch of Wood Spirit's body disappeared along with the black sun. Boom! The patriarch of Wood Spirit was dead. The death of a Tao integration stage cultivator shook the void. The world instantly fell into a deathly silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. The patriarch is dead? The people of the Wood Spirit clan couldn't believe it. They were the strongest clan among the 4 stars, but Mu Kuei dared to hunt down Fire Spirit, and the Wood Spirit ancestor dared to interrogate the Fire Spirit ancestor for the murderer. We have the mighty means left behind by the perfected immortal patriarchs and powerful Tao integration patriarch. But now, the old ancestor had fallen, and even many of the clan's experts had died in battle. Less than 1/10 of them had been sacrificed. The Wood Spirit race had been exterminated. The 2 of them were terrified. Such a powerful Wood Spirit ancestor had died. They knelt on the spot. Fellow Taoist Yi, we admit defeat, we admit defeat. The Wood Spirit Patriarch was dead. The Earth Spirit Patriarch and the Metal Spirit Patriarch were completely scared out of their wit. They apologized to Yi Chen and begged for mercy. Yi Chen walked in the air like an emperor. Everyone lowered their heads, not daring to look at him or offend him. He said softly, "I can spare your lives, but you must place a restriction on them." The Fire Spirit Elder told them about the restriction and Yi Chen's request. Yi Chen continued, "Don't worry. I'm not from this galaxy. I won't stay here forever. You guys are still the masters of your clans and the kings of the stars." The 2 of them looked at each other as if they were considering the authenticity of Yi Chen's words. However, in the next moment they immediately felt an extremely terrifying killing intent. The 2 of them shivered and nodded repeatedly, "Yes, we're willing." In the end, the 2 of them agreed. They planted the restriction and served Yi Chen as their master. In the starry sky, everyone from the 3 clans shouted in unison, "Greetings, Holy Lord!" Yi Chen had become the Lord of 4 stars. At that moment, the 4-star powerhouses were all shocked to the point that their scalps went numb. This person had single-handedly suppressed the 3 Tao integration stage almighties to either die or surrender. How terrifying was that? Earth Spirit Planet, Taiwu Kingdom's Imperial City Palace. Huge stone sculptures could be seen everywhere, majestic and imposing. The dark golden glazed palace was so tall that one could not see the top. The dragon throne was more than 10 feet tall, and the carvings were exquisite. The 5-clawed golden dragon was lifelike. After dividing up the Wood Spirit Planet, the 3 of them came to the main hall and knelt on one knee. They said respectfully, "Greetings, my lord." The Fire Spirit Patriarch took a step forward and handed over 4 lists of treasures with both hands. He reported, "The Wood Spirit clan has been destroyed. These are all the treasures of the 4 clans. Please take a look, my lord." Yi Chen took the list and glanced at it. He picked out many cultivation resources and treasures that were useful to Yang Tian and the rest. The corners of the Earth Spirit Patriarch and the other 2's mouths twitched. Their hearts were bleeding. Yi Chen's eyes flashed and he asked, "Which star zone is this?" "This is the Big Dipper Star Zone." Big Dipper Star Zone? Yi Chen recalled the star zone map and was delighted. This place was not too far from Earth. He could first find out the strength of the Big Dipper Star Zone. In the future, he might be able to set up an ascension platform on the Gold Spirit Planet and the other 4 stars. That way, the younger generation of cultivators from Earth could ascend here after they became accomplished and then head to other star zones. It could also be considered a place for cultivators who ascended from Earth to settle down. Yi Chen smiled. This plan was feasible. Yi Chen thought about how he had absorbed the ultimate power of metal, wood, and earth. He still lacked fire and water. Then, he couldn't help but look at the Fire Spirit Patriarch. Huh! His face was full of doubt. Why couldn't he feel the ultimate power of fire from the Fire Spirit Patriarch and the Fire Spirit Star Formation? His eyes flashed and he asked, "Why don't you have the ultimate power of fire?" The Fire Spirit Patriarch replied with a bitter smile, "Among the 4 stars, my Fire Spirit Star is the weakest. Their ancestors have killed innate holy beasts, extracted their ultimate energy, and refine them into innate secret treasures. They are the azure dragon formation, the golden fire wheel, and the sky-toppling apricot flag. Only the innate holy beasts of my fire spirit star are still there. Then, he looked at Yi Chen and asked carefully, Holy Lord, do you want this ultimate energy? Yi Chen was overjoyed when he heard this and hurriedly said, I have a use for it. Take me to the innate holy beast. The fire spirit patriarch led the way to the forbidden area of fire spirit star, the sacred fire region. The innate holy beast was in the fire region. It was a creature that was suspected to be a fire crow. It had descended on fire spirit star countless years ago. After so many years, the fire spirit patriarch had been unable to do anything to it. Fortunately, both sides minded their own business. As they spoke, Yi Chen and the others soon arrived at the sacred fire region. It was a ball of light that was completely red. Its surface seemed to be a forest of fire. There were fire leaves and branches, and countless fire crows were flying and playing in the forest. There isn't even a formation here? The Earth Spirit Patriarch was puzzled. Such a terrifying innate holy beast was not sealed by a formation? Once it was born, the entire fire spirit star would be plunged into misery and suffering. The fire spirit patriarch shook his head. It has been staying here for countless years. If the formation seals it, it will attract the attacks of those little fire crows. It will only backfire. So magical? Yi Chen's interest was piqued. What was the purpose of the innate holy beast here? Was there some treasure here that attracted it? Or was it guarding something? Chapter 1732. Yi Chen stepped into the fiery red ball. In the fire zone, it was a world of crimson, steaming hot air. It was like a world of magma. As far as the eye could see, an active volcano stood between heaven and earth, radiating a river of magma. Pus! The air was filled with dangerous flames that could not be seen with the naked eye. They burned flesh and bones. It was extremely dangerous. As Yi Chen walked on the magma, bubbles rose from the magma. They grew bigger and bigger until they burst. Suddenly, a large number of mysterious creatures emerged from the broken bubbles. These creatures looked like fire crows that were not afraid of the magma's heat. The cries of thousands of crows echoed throughout the fire zone. They seemed to be welcoming their king. Suddenly, a fire crow that was about 100 meters tall with a powerful aura flew up from the active volcano in the depth. The crow's cry resounded through the world, and its body emitted rolling heat waves that burned the air. The scorching magma formed a feather robe with flames flowing around it. In the blink of an eye, it appeared before Yi Chen and spoke, Human, this is the holy venerable land. It's not a place you can come. Leave now or you'll be buried here. Yi Chen's eyes focused as he said unhappily, What? There's no place in this vast world that I can't go. He shouted coldly, Today, I'm going to break into this holy, venerable land. Die. The fire crow let out an angry cry and flapped its wings. Two huge fireballs appeared out of thin air. Magma surged in the fireballs, and anyone who was hit would be burned to death. In the outer zone, the fire spirit patriarch and the other two felt the temperature of the fireball skyrocket. There was a terrifying aura coming from it. The crow's cry sent chills down their spines. It was even more powerful than them. Bang! Yi Chen took a deep breath and condensed his true origin energy. He threw a punch and the huge fireball shattered. The flames scattered on the ground and the magma stuck to his fist, burning intensely. The fire crow flapped its wings and soared into the sky, then swooped down. The scorching magma condensed into dark red rocks that emitted a terrifying temperature, distorting the air. It descended from the sky and pounced at Yi Chen. Innate Qi capture. Yi Chen's physical strength exploded, and a ball of golden light was released from his palm. Suddenly, it grew to a height of 100 meters and enveloped the fire crow that was charging at him. Boom! The giant palm exploded violently. Smoke filled the air, fiery rocks shattered, and magma scattered in all directions. When the white smoke dissipated, Yi Chen's shining golden right hand caught the fire raven that had shrunk several times in one hand. Yi Chen was domineering as he said while laughing, "How are you going to stop me now?" The fire crow struggled frantically and said angrily, "You will regret this. The Holy Venerable will avenge me." Yi Chen scoffed. His quintessential origin energy exploded, and he killed the fire crow with a wave of his arm. A sorrowful cry resounded through the sky as the fire crow's aura rapidly weakened. Fire Raven died just like that? The patriarch of fire spirit was secretly amazed. He had spent countless time and used countless techniques, but he could not kill the innate holy beast. However, Yi Chen killed it so quickly. The two of them were shocked, but they could not stop sighing. The more powerful Yi Chen was, the more difficult it would be for them to remove the restriction and escape his control. Rumble! As soon as the fire raven died, the entire holy fire region became restless. Magma that was like a giant pillar spewed out from the volcano crater. Countless fiery rocks smashed down like a storm, splashing hot magma. The fire forest on the surface of the fire region quickly withered. Countless fire ravens wailed nonstop. Before the first one died, the next one came. Above the magma, the fire ravens gathered together and slowly merged into large fire ravens that charged at Yi Chen. "Humph!" Yi Chen scoffed. "Your king is no match for me. How are you going to stop me?" He soared into the air and pushed out his palm, instantly defeating 2 or 3 large fire ravens. However, the fire ravens were still crying. No matter how many times Yi Chen killed them, they would charge forward and stop him with their lives. Yi Chen punched and slapped all the way to the towering active volcano. The volcano was still erupting. The temperature here was countless times higher than outside. If one was not careful, they would be drowned by the magma that erupted anywhere. Even Yi Chen had to hold up a quintessential origin energy shield to block the impact of the magma and the burning flames. Yi Chen frowned and thought, the flames here are extraordinary. It can't be released by ordinary fire ravens. Moreover, who is the holy venerable lord it mentioned? He released his divine consciousness and saw the entire fire region. However, there was a hidden mysterious space that divine consciousness could not penetrate. The holy venerable lord was at the end of the magma. Yi Chen unleashed all his quintessential origin energy and physical strength. Upon closer inspection, the quintessential origin energy shield was flowing with golden light. It was indestructible. He dove down like a comet, heading straight for the mysterious space under the magma. Buzz! A dazzling light filled the entire mysterious space. Yi Chen, who had just stepped in, could not open his eyes. He could only squint and see layers of shadows. Purple light surged in his eyes. He used the ocular technique, golden pupil flame, to see the mysterious space clearly. It was a very ordinary cave with a round roof and stone walls. The only special thing was that there was an unfathomably deep cave in the middle that seemed to lead straight to the center of the planet. The dazzling light came from the bottom of the cave like a pillar of light. It also carried a trace of terrifying and dangerous energy. Yi Chen walked slowly and used all his strength to look around. At the bottom of the cave, there was an indescribably huge creature. The creature's entire body was purplish gold in color. When it spread its wings, it was thousands of meters long. One wing could cover the sky. Those feathers were like diamond-shaped crystals, shining brightly. As it breathed, hot air boiled. It spat out streams of purple golden true fire, burning the void. It was just breathing, but it made the entire magma world boil. Yi Chen stared at the mysterious creature and suddenly recognized that it was the golden crow. It ate the sun's essence fire. His heart trembled slightly, and his breathing slowly became slow and heavy. The Golden Crow clan had always existed in the spiritual realm. Moreover, their strength was extraordinary. No one dared to provoke them. Why would a golden crow appear here? At the same time, the sleeping golden crow sensed the arrival of an uninvited guest. A pair of huge eyes suddenly opened. Yi Chen felt like he was facing two scorching suns at an extremely close distance. Heat waves hit his face. The dazzling eyes that were like the sun scorched heaven and earth. It was accompanied by an extremely terrifying pressure, reflecting Yi Chen's tiny figure. "Anyone who trespasses here will die." The Golden Crow's indifferent and solemn voice sounded like it was the ruler. The entire space began to shake violently. With a cry, a dazzling purplish-gold pillar of light pierced through the void and whistled toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless. He retreated quickly. The purplish-gold light followed closely behind him. He could not get rid of it. Yi Chen turned around and punched out with his clenched fist. In an instant, he punched countless times. The void in front of him was like a mirror. The cracks grew larger and larger. Void quake. Bang! The void exploded. A terrifying shockwave poured out from the hole and collided with the purplish-gold pillar of light. Rumble! Both sides fought intensely. End of this chapter. Chapter 1733. Bang! The shockwave of the explosion shook the void and created countless waves of lava. Yi Chen seized the opportunity to change his move. Greenwood Emperor Finger. Behind him, a cluster of green light appeared out of nowhere, resisting the destructive flames of this lava world. The Greenwood Finger seal pierced through the air and pointed at the Golden Crow's forehead. The Golden Crow roared, and its true yuan surged. Purple-gold true flames burned fiercely, and a fiery light shot into the sky. He spread his huge wings, and a terrifying true flame shot out from between his eyebrows. The green finger mark was like butter meeting a hot knife, melting away the ice and snow, and extinguishing its life force. Yi Chen was shocked. The invincible Emperor Greenwood had been defeated so easily. His eyes flashed, and he was surprised to find that the Golden Crow's strength was equivalent to the Dao integration late stage. The Golden Crow's aura surged as it shouted, "Die, lowly humans!" His Dao integration final stage cultivation base could easily crush a 4-star ancestor. A terrifying aura rushed toward Yi Chen. The pressure alone was enough to shatter the void. The purplish-gold true flame quickly gathered above the Golden Crow, and the surrounding lava was also sucked up. A fireball that contained a huge amount of energy condensed and formed. The void around the fireball had long since been burned to ashes, leaving only a black hole around the fireball. The fireball filled the entire mysterious space. Even the air was being burned. Everything that got close to the fireball would be destroyed. Yi Chen faced the terrifying fireball head-on. His entire body was illuminated red. Before his protective quintessential chi had even come into contact with the true flames, it was already sizzling. "I'll show you the might of a celestial arch," he said in a cold voice. "I'll show you the might of a celestial arch." Buzz. The immortal slaying flying knife with a body like a dragon emerged from the void. At this moment, the dragon roared in the 9th heaven, showing its sharpness. The Emperor came to the world. Once the dragon knife was out, who could compete with it? No. What kind of fairy weapon is this? The Golden Crow trembled uncontrollably with fear at the sight of the immortal slaying flying saber. Even though it was a Dao integration final stage mighty figure, it was certain that it would die in the face of this saber strike. Slash! Yi Chen swung his saber, and the gigantic saber gleam in the fireball was split into two. Only the saber gleam flashed between heaven and earth. It was like a white horse galloping through a crack as the saber slashed through the void. Ah! The Golden Crow shrieked miserably. Then, a dazzling blade light shot out from its body. Bang! The Golden Crow's body exploded, and countless true flames scattered across the magma ocean, causing huge waves to surge. Golden Crow Meteor. Yi Chen took a deep breath. The Golden Crow was truly powerful. If he did not have the immortal slaying flying saber, he would not have been able to withstand that terrifying fireball. Up ahead, where the Golden Crow was circling, clumps of scarlet gold flames gathered. Yi Chen was overjoyed. It was the origin tinder. It turned out that the golden crow had been absorbing the origin fire seed to cultivate here. Fortunately, he was blessed with good luck. If he had waited any longer and the golden crow finished absorbing, he would not have been a match for it. Yi Chen then extracted the origin fire seed that it had absorbed from the golden crow's carcass and combined them. In the depths of the lava where he had killed the golden crow, extreme fire energy filled the entire mysterious space. The reddish-gold origin fire seed floated in the air, and countless fire-attributed spiritual energy worshipped it. Yi Chen sat down cross-legged and began to meditate. Then, he absorbed the origin tinder into his body. Yi Chen inhaled sharply. The origin tinder exploded in his dantian, and the violent flames rushed into his meridians, blood, and even every cell with an unstoppable force. His body glowed red. From afar, he looked like a fiery red gemstone that was steaming hot. Cracks appeared on his body, and one could see dark red magma flowing in his body. It was terrifying. Yi Chen clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. His fingers had dug into his flesh, and it was excruciating. His flesh was burning, and the reddish-gold true flames penetrated deep into his bones like a fire dragon. He almost fainted. His body emitted a golden glow that flickered between bright and dark. His body was gradually becoming stronger in this demon-like torture. After an unknown period of time, Yi Chen finally finished absorbing the origin fire seed. His body was drenched in sweat and he was drenched. He bent over and gasped for air, almost dying. After carefully feeling the strength of his body, Yi Chen threw his head back and laughed. He threw a punch and the air shook. Then, he waved his sleeve, and the spirit stones on the ground piled up like a mountain. They were the 5 million spirit stones that the Patriarch of Fire Spirit and the other two worship. He absorbed them crazily. When the spirit stones were empty, Yi Chen came out of closed-door cultivation. His cultivation base was still at the Great Perfection Tao integration stage. He was still half a step away from the tribulation stage. Yi Chen shook his head and sighed in disappointment. He left the mysterious space. 3 days later, on Fire Spirit Star, the Patriarch of Fire Spirit and the other two looked at the fire territory and whispered to each other. They were guessing if Yi Chen had died in there. Make a guess. Did he perish in there? It's hard to say. We can't see through his strength. Why don't we wait a little longer? It's already been 3 days. How much longer do we have to wait? Suddenly, Yi Chen's cold voice sounded in the air. I'm not dead. Are you guys disappointed? The three of them's expressions changed drastically, and they broke out in cold sweat. Then, they lowered their heads and hurriedly denied, We dare not. The Holy Lord is extremely powerful. How could he die so easily? When they looked up again, they saw Yi Chen stepping out of the endless sea of fire. His eyes were like 2 suns. The scorching sun was like a knife, causing the 3 of them to feel a piercing pain in their eyes. What shocked the 3 of them the most was that the aura on Yi Chen's body seemed to be getting more and more powerful. It was unfathomable. They did not dare to have any thoughts of resisting. Yi Chen turned around to look at the fire territory behind him. There was a hint of regret on his face. What a pity! I've already absorbed the 4 ultimate elemental powers of metal, wood, fire, and earth. I'm still short of the water element. Otherwise, I could successfully cultivate the ancient god body. However, he could only give up. He instructed the Patriarch of Fire Spirit and the other two, You guys need to gather treasures and refine the ascension platform on the 4 stars. In the future, if anyone who claims to be from Earth, the celestial burial planet, or China comes here, the 3 of you must treat them well. Otherwise, you'll end up worse than the Patriarch of Wood Spirit. Subsequently, Yi Chen waved his sleeve and left. The Patriarch of Fire Spirit and the other two could not help but heave a sigh of relief as they watched him leave. The deterrence that Yi Chen brought to them after coming out of closed-door cultivation was too great. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. The celestial burial planet? Hasn't this planet long been desolate? How could it still give birth to such a terrifying existence? The patriarch of Earth Spirit accepted his fate and said, "It's impossible to resist. Let's do as he says." He flew away after saying that. Yi Chen's body traversed the void like a meteor. He returned to the withered sea ascension planet and found the starry sky ancient teleportation formation. He took a step in and waved his sleeve. A large number of spirit stones surged out, and the starry sky ancient teleportation formation emitted waves of starlight. The ancient runes engraved on it lit up one by one. With a buzz, the teleportation was activated. The teleportation power was activated. In the space tunnel, Yi Chen saw countless stars passing by him. He looked at the blue planet that appeared at the end of the space tunnel. Yi Chen was extremely excited. He had fought many battles and finally returned to his familiar home. Earth, I'm back. Chapter 1734. Yi Chen walked out of the ancient teleportation formation on Mount General on Earth. Yi Chen took a deep breath of Earth's fresh air as he touched the safe mountains and rivers again. He felt refreshed. A sense of security surged in his heart. There were brothers and friends who knew each other and protected their homes together. On Mount General, Yi Chen's cultivation aura faintly spread out, startling many birds and beasts that fled in panic. Soon, many powerhouses sensed it and immediately rushed over. Among the crowd were the Patriarch of Hell, Yi Wushuang, Ying, Heaven Trampler, the four great witches, Yang Tian, and the rest. The Patriarch of Hell relaxed when he saw that it was Yi Chen. He asked hurriedly, "Fellow Yi, where have you been all this time?" Everyone could not help but gather around him, their eyes filled with curiosity. It was because Yi Chen had disappeared for 5 days. Yi Chen told everyone about his journey to the Big Dipper planet, conquering Fire Spirit Planet, fighting the Patriarch of Wood Spirit, recovering the 4 great planets, exploring the Fire Territory, and fighting the Golden Crow. Yang Tian and the rest were shocked. It turned out that the universe beyond Earth was so exciting. Adventure and treasure hunting coexisted with opportunities and challenges. They could not help but yearn for it. One day, I'll go explore the outer realm too. I'll appreciate the beauty of the universe and the vastness of the universe, someone mumbled to himself. However, the Patriarch of Hell and Heaven Trampler said, "The universe is boundless and there are countless planes. Fire Spirit Planet is nothing. The real world is in the spirit realm. It's where powerhouses gather, opportunities are everywhere, and there are all kinds of innate treasures." Yi Chen nodded and said in a heroic manner, "The spirit realm is the world we want to conquer." Then, he threw out another piece of shocking news. "I'm already the master of the 4 great planets in the Big Dipper planet. I'll arrange for people to refine the ascension platform on the 4 planet. In the future, you can ascend to the Big Dipper planet and use it as a springboard to explore the universe." That's great. Everyone was overjoyed. They could also head to the outer realm that they had been looking forward to. He waved his hand again, and a mountain of heavenly treasures appeared. Golden light shone brightly, and spiritual energy swept over like a gust of wind. There was even a drizzle of spiritual energy condensed into spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in the area increased several times because of this. Take these and cultivate. Work hard to improve your cultivation base so that you can protect yourself in the outer realm. Everyone was overjoyed and nodded in agreement. Yi Chen still had an ultimate treasure that the Earth Spirit Patriarch had offered. It suited Yuhan very well, so he wanted to give it to her. He looked around and realized that his wife, Su Yuhan, was not here. A bad feeling rose in him, so he could not help but ask by instinct, "Where's Yuhan? Why isn't she here? Wait for me at home?" When everyone heard this, their expressions became strange, and they looked as if they wanted to say something but were hesitant. Yi Chen's expression changed slightly as if he had realized something. His heart sank as he asked the Patriarch of Hell immediately. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring looked troubled. He sighed faintly and finally said, "Young Lady Su, she has been taken back to the netherworld." "What?" Yi Chen's body swayed, and he calmed himself down immediately. He flew away instantly, leaving everyone looking at each other and sighing. A streak of light flashed across the sky like lightning. Soon, Yi Chen landed at the Yi residence in Lin City. He anxiously entered the house and searched everywhere. He opened one room after another, but there was no one there. It was as if the expectation in his heart was dashed little by little, and in the end it turned into disappointment. The beautiful woman who used to stay at home and wait for her husband's triumphant return, the beautiful woman who used to play around in this room, her figure has long disappeared, left me. Yi Chen sat on the ground with a sad expression on his face. His heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. It was as if a part of the world had been cut away and was no longer complete. He sobbed and mumbled, "Yuhan, why didn't you wait for me? Why didn't you wait for me? Why did you have the heart to leave me? Why?" His parents, Yi Hai and Wu Lan, knew that Yi Chen had returned home, but they did not disturb him. At that moment, they walked out and wiped their tears. They said sadly, "Xiaochen Yuhan left?" She took Meng Meng with her. Half an hour later, Yi Chen walked out of his sadness and asked his parents, "Dad, Mom, what happened at home while I was away? Why did Yuhan leave without saying goodbye?" Eventually, Yi Hai told Yi Chen what happened to Su Yuhan and the earth-shattering changes that happened to her during this period of time. It turned out that Su Yuhan had awakened too much power in the battle earlier. As a result, the memory of the Lord in her head became clearer. She was influenced by the Lord in her past life, so her obsession with the Lord's power and power grew stronger. It only took her half a month to elevate her cultivation base to the underworld saint, which was equivalent to a tribulation stage cultivator. As she awakened more and more power, she eventually sensed the summoning of the underworld. To fulfill the Lord's obsession, she had to leave. She even took their daughter, Meng Meng. Yi Chen clenched his fists after understanding what happened. He was filled with regret. He regretted that he should have stayed by Su Yuhan's side. Otherwise, he might have been able to stop her or accompany her to the underworld to protect her. At that moment, Wu Lan took out a letter and handed it to Yi Chen. She said, "Su Yuhan left this for you." She left with her husband after saying that, leaving some space for Yi Chen. Yi Chen opened the letter with shaking hands and read it carefully. Tears were rolling in his eyes. He could not help but take a deep breath in. "Xiaochen, I might not be by your side anymore when you read this letter. Don't be sad, don't be angry." Su Yuhan mentioned in the letter that she went to the underworld willingly. She was not completely affected by the Lord's memory in her past life. She went to the underworld because she saw too many people in the underworld suffering. They were in danger all day long. They had no clothes to cover their bodies, food to fill their stomachs, and everyone was in danger. She could not bear to see her people in prison, so she made the decision to change the situation. There was a sentence at the end of the letter, "Xiaochen, I don't want to be a vase hiding behind you. So, please forgive me for being stubborn this time. I believe we'll be reunited soon." Soon, the Patriarch of Hell and the rest walked in. They seemed to be trying to talk some sense into him. They did not agree with Su Yuhan's decision back then. They had been persuading him to wait for Yi Chen to return. Never had they thought that Su Yuhan's ability would soar. She sent them flying as soon as she attacked and seized the opportunity to summon the gate to the underworld. The gate to heaven exuded a terrifying and ancient aura. As soon as people got close, the gate to the underworld would release a bone-chilling storm that even severed soul powerhouses could not resist. They could only watch Su Yuhan open the tunnel by force and bring Meng Meng to the underworld. As Yi Chen's comrade-in-arms and brothers who had gone through thick and thin with him, they blamed themselves for failing to stop Su Yuhan from leaving. At that moment, everyone was waiting for Yi Chen outside quietly. Chapter 1735. A while later, Yi Chen put the letter away and walked out of the room after taking a deep breath. Wu Lan and the rest had been guarding at the door. Wu Lan's heart clenched when she saw Yi Chen coming out. She could not help but say while crying, "Xiaochen, will we still be able to see Yuhan and Meng Meng?" "Yes. Definitely." Yi Chen nodded hard. Subsequently, he looked bitter as he sighed. "However, it's very troublesome. Unless I can go to the spirit realm and enter the tribulation stage, it'll be as difficult as ascending to heaven." Yi Hai asked in confusion, "Why?" Old Ancestor Yellow Spring explained, "The netherworld and the spiritual realm have the same status. Earth is just a lesser chiliocosm. There is no passage to the netherworld at all. Only the spiritual realm has it. Moreover, if one's cultivation is not high enough, it will be difficult to move an inch in the spiritual realm. It is extremely dangerous, and there is the possibility of dying at any time." After saying that, he sighed as if he was recalling something. Wu Lan was getting more and more nervous when she heard that. She could not help but worry about Yi Chen since it was so dangerous. Yi Hai pondered for a moment and asked, "Why can Yuhan go to the underworld from Earth?" A gleam flashed through Yi Chen's eyes as he explained, "That's because Yuhan inherited the Lord's memory and power. She can summon the door to the underworld. We can only go to the netherworld through the spiritual realm's passageway." After a pause, he promised his parents firmly, "Don't worry, I'll definitely bring Yuhan and Meng Meng back. Our family will be reunited soon." After everyone left, Yi Chen stayed behind alone. There seemed to be a familiar aura lingering in the room. He could not help but recall the bits and pieces of his life with Yuhan, as well as her beautiful, tall, and exquisite figure. He missed her even more. Yi Chen took a deep breath and pulled himself together. He took stock of what he had gained during this period and planned to go to the underworld. The ancient god body needed 5 types of extreme energy. He had already absorbed earth, fire, wood, and metal. There was still water left. According to Huishuan, the water attribute energy corresponded to the Sea Ascension star. However, because the ancient godhead had turned into a dead domain, its vitality was extinguished. Star Ocean Ascension had long since dried up. In the vast sea of stars, where could he go to find other stars? Moreover, his cultivation was stuck at the half-step crossing Calamity Realm. No matter how hard he cultivated, he could not make any progress. It seemed that he had to go to the spiritual realm to seek opportunities. Now that the crisis on Earth had been resolved, he had to make a good plan to go to the outer domain to find the ultimate water energy. Then, he would break through to the tribulation realm and go to the spiritual world to find the passage to the netherworld to find Yuhan and Adorable. However, he also had to make proper preparations for the Earth's defense. After all, the Earth's foundation was almost depleted in the last war. He had to leave behind enough means before he could leave with peace of mind. Yi Chen sighed softly. Then, he walked into the mountain behind the Yi residence. On the shady path, the sunlight shone through the leaves, scattering golden spots of light. Birds chirped in the mountains, and the spring water gurgled. Such a beautiful scene was very comfortable. However, Yi Chen was not in the mood to appreciate it. He walked deep into the back of the mountain alone. His shadow grew longer, and there was only a lonely silhouette left. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. During this month, the cultivation world on Earth was stirred up again and again. One major event after another was too much for the eyes to take in. Outside of Earth, there were originally many sects from the outer realm. The spiritual energy on the celestial mountains and sacred grounds was like clouds. There were wisps of green smoke and all kinds of rare and strange beasts. Many powerful Taoists rode on the clouds like a fairyland. Now all of them had disappeared. All the sects and immortal sects seemed to have moved overnight and left Earth, their whereabouts unknown. Everyone was extremely surprised, as if they had left behind an unsolved mystery. Only some of the top powerhouses knew that on the second day after Yi Chen returned, he personally visited these sects one by one. On the other hand, The Patriarch of Hell and the rest went into closed-door cultivation after taking the spirit stones and treasures that Yi Chun had brought back from the Big Dipper. During this month, there were auras of breakthroughs coming from all over China almost every day. The people of China were cheering and celebrating the birth of a powerhouse. However, Yi Chun did not cultivate after he returned. He rejected everyone who wanted to visit him. Instead, he spent all his time with his family like an ordinary person. Meanwhile, in the mountain behind the Yi residence, Yi Chen was hugging his son, Yi Ming, and enjoying the most pleasant time. In the past, he had always been fighting and neglected his family. This time, Yuhan and Mingming's departure made him understand the importance and beauty of family. Yi Chen lowered his head and looked at the small and cute Yi Ming dotingly. He said softly with a kind face, "Daddy, I'll definitely find your mother and sister." Yi Ming was just giggling and laughing. His innocent laughter spread throughout the back of the mountain. Suddenly, a trace of enlightenment rose from the bottom of his heart. In an instant, his thoughts were clear and his aura rose. He carefully felt it and realized that the cultivation base in his body had improved a little again. Although it was not a big improvement, it made him only half a step away from the beginner stage tribulation stage. Yi Chen understood something. After a month of meditation, his cultivation base became more and more stable. At the right time, the Patriarch of Hell came out of closed-door cultivation and rushed over. He sighed softly and said, "I wonder what your plans are for the future, fellow Yi?" Yi Chen looked at him. In the past month, the Patriarch's cultivation base had improved greatly. He had also stepped into the soul-splitting stage. However, his aura was a little unstable. He was in a hurry to break through, so his cultivation base was unstable. He asked, "Patriarch, you want to go back, right?" The Patriarch of Hell's eyes flashed and he nodded slightly. His tone was heavy. "I almost died there in my previous life. There are many grudges that need to be resolved. I want revenge." Yi Chen sighed softly and turned to look at the Yi family. His gaze was deep. "That's right, it's time to leave." Although Earth was his hometown, it was not the end. "However, before I leave, I have to tell you something. Wait a few more days." The Patriarch of Hell was overjoyed and laughed loudly. "No problem. I'll go prepare first." After saying that, he disappeared on the spot. Yi Chen sighed as he watched the Patriarch of Hell leave. Revenge was easier said than done. He only hoped that the Patriarch would not die. 3 days later, Yi Chen appeared alone in the depths of the void. Pangu's axe flew out of the shadow and hovered around Yi Chen. It resonated with the Pangu godhead in his body, looking reluctant to part. Yi Chen held Pangu with one hand and comforted softly, "Go, Earth is what you have to protect." With a loud shout, he unleashed his supreme divinity. A drop of golden blood essence flew out from the tip of his finger and condensed into a blood-colored talisman in the air. He sent it out with his palm, and the talisman fused into the Panga's axe that had turned into a gray light. The world spirit placenta seemed to understand Yi Chen's words. It slashed out a sharp light in the void, shattering the void. It seemed to be answering Yi Chen, "I'm very powerful. I can definitely protect Earth." Then, it flew away and returned to the depths of Qingming to sleep. Panga's axe was originally Earth's world spirit fetus. It was Earth's last resort. He should not have taken it away. He should have left it to continue protecting Earth. End of this chapter. Chapter 1736. In the future, if a descendant of the Yi family could step into the God transformation stage, by relying on the bloodline imprint that he had placed on the Pangu axe, he could sense the existence of the Pangu axe. It could be considered a little trick that he had left behind. After sending the Pangu axe away, Yi Chen subsequently appeared above China. His eyes flashed and he waved his sleeve. The 9 spirit cauldrons were brass in color, and there was a lifelike 5-clawed spirit dragon on each cauldron. Each spirit dragon had a different expression. Some were ferocious, some were good at making rain, and some were furious. The 9 brass spirit cauldrons floated in the air. They shone with dazzling starlight and emitted 5-colored divine light. Spiritual energy overflowed in all directions. They were extraordinary. They were the 9 spirit cauldrons that Yi Chen had refined 3 days ago at the expense of his cultivation base and countless natural treasures. They were called the heaven-seizing 9 cauldrons. This cauldron could suppress luck, gather the spiritual veins of the 9 continents, and protect the mountains and rivers. At the next moment, with a wave of his hand, the 9 brass spirit cauldrons soared into the sky and flew towards 9 directions in China. Rumble! As they pressed down from the sky, 9 rays of 5-colored light shot into the sky and gathered in the sky above China, shining brightly. Yi Chen stood in the air with emperor brush in his hand. He wrote on the 5-colored light. One after another, extremely mysterious formation talismans shone brightly in the sky. They stacked on top of each other and shone like stars. Suppress. As soon as the word suppress fell, a 5-colored light shot into the sky, piercing through the clouds and straight into the starry sky. The bright moonlight was plated with a layer of 5-colored flowing light. The 9-tripod mountain river formation was completed. This formation could suppress China's luck and allow China to prosper for 100 generations. Yi Chen stood proudly in the air and looked at China that was enveloped by the 9-tripod mountain river formation. He frowned and said to himself, "This method isn't safe enough. I need to add another one. Only then can I leave Earth without any worries. Even if I encounter a powerful enemy, I can still block them." At the next moment, he took a step forward and left Earth, once again stepping onto the ancient path of the starry sky. Countless stars flashed past, shining brightly. Yi Chen shone with a golden light as he used his physical strength to cast the ancient god's mystical ability. He clenched his hand and caught the star that flashed like light. It was a newborn star. The star soul inside the star core was full of vitality, and the innate spiritual qi inside it was about to condense into a crystal. In a few hundred light years, it would give birth to a new life. Yi Chen's cultivation base erupted. He did the same thing and captured another 3 newborn planet. He forcefully extracted a star soul that was about the size of Earth. Yi Chen panted and returned to the sky above Earth while sweating profusely. With a wave of his right hand, the star souls that were as white as light flew down like the Milky Way falling from the sky and poured into Earth. At this moment, the entire Earth underwent a drastic change. The Earth shook and the mountains shook. Spiritual veins broke out of the ground and the mountains and seas moved. The rising spiritual qi condensed into clouds in the sky. Soon, it began to rain heavily. It was spiritual liquid, an endless amount of spiritual liquid. Everyone on Earth felt the surge of spiritual qi. Countless cultivators' cultivation base increased greatly. Some old people who had been unable to break through for a long time now easily broke through and returned to their youth. There were even many newborns who awakened innate spiritual veins. The strength of Earth's immortal cultivation world increased greatly. The sky cleared up after the rain. At that moment, everyone on Earth felt that the world seemed to have become stronger. They were more energetic and their cultivation speed increased. Only great Emperor Yi could do such an immortal-like technique. Many powerhouses could not help but kneel to the depths of the sky and say gratefully, "Thank you, great Emperor." At the same time, Yi Chen was heading to the ancient barren world and the dark purple world. He used an immortal technique again and the space shook. The cultivators of the 2 worlds looked up and saw the void above the sky shatter. 2 passages spiraled like a vortex. Inside, 10 colored streams of light formed a passage barrier, sealing the violent and dangerous space-time turbulence, making the passage extremely safe. The 2 worlds were completely connected to Earth. The 2 worlds shook, and the cultivators were all shocked. It was like a legend. Who is that? He actually has such a divinity. That's great Emperor Yi. A cultivator recognized the powerful back and bowed deeply in the direction where Yi Chen left. Yi Chen did not stay for long. Soon, he arrived at Kunlun Mountain. Due to the injection of the Star Soul, Kunlun Mountain had undergone a tremendous change. Spiritual energy was abundant and spiritual plants grew crazily. Flowers bloomed everywhere, and the mountain was like spring all year round. As he walked into it, spiritual energy assaulted his face like a spring breeze. There was even an immortal lake filled with spiritual liquid. It was as if the majesty of the ancient cultivation Holy Land had been recreated. It was the #1 immortal mountain in the world. Yi Chen went deep into Kunlun Mountain. He performed hand seals and created divine patterns in the air. The air was sparkling like water, and a circular door slowly formed. It was Shang Santian, Kunlun Ruins. That was where the transcendental forces of the early earth were. Yi Chen supported himself with both arms, and the door suddenly stabilized. A white light shot out from the other end of the tunnel. He could faintly hear the exclamations of the crowd on the other side. Yi Chen walked into the tunnel and soon appeared on the other side. His disciple, Xiaoye, led the crowd to greet him. Yi Chen looked around and said slowly, "The crisis on Earth has been resolved. I'll reopen Shang Santian and the Kunlun ruins will appear again." He looked at his disciple, Xiaoye, and said in a deep voice, "I'll appoint my disciple, Xiaoye, as the master of the Kunlun ruins. I must rebuild Kunlun Mountain into the #1 holy land of cultivation." Xiaoye was overjoyed. She knelt on one knee and shouted, "I won't let you down." Then, he left a portion of the inheritance in Kunlun ruins and told Xiaoye through voice transmission, "I'm leaving Earth. You must cultivate well and bring glory to the sect." Yes, Xiaoye had mixed feelings when she heard that her master could leave Earth. She secretly made up her mind to become stronger and catch up to her master. After being busy for a few days, Yi Chen finally returned to Lin City. He gathered the Yi family and built the Yi family's ancestral shrine. Almost all the members of the Yi family, whether direct or collateral, came for the Yi family's ancestral ceremony. They wanted to bring their juniors to meet the legendary Great Emperor Yi. After the ancestral ceremony ended, Yi Chen looked for his father, Yi Hai, and said, "Dad, I'll be leaving Earth in a few days." Yi Hai sighed softly and patted Yi Chen's shoulder. He said sincerely, "I know you've grown up and have your own ideas. Don't worry about looking for Yuhan and the rest. You have to wait until you're powerful enough before planning." Yi Chen nodded and agreed. Then, he said to his father, Yi Hai, "After I leave, you can let second uncle and second aunt's reincarnation recover their memories from their previous lives." Yi Hai nodded. Yi Chen spoke again, "I've set up a divinity formation in the Lin family's ancestral shrine. If the Yi family is in danger of being annihilated in the future, they can escape here to take refuge. As long as someone with the Yi family's bloodline drips blood on the shrine's altar, the formation will be activated. Once the formation is activated, all living beings within a radius of 10,000 meters will be killed. Be careful." Chapter 1737. Today was the day Yi Chen would leave Earth. At the entrance of the Yi residence. The Yi residence's main gate was ancient and magnificent. There were 2 words Yi residence on the plaque. Cultivators could see spiritual light flashing on it. It was a defensive spirit treasure. As long as someone attacked the Yi residence, the shield would be activated. No one could break it unless they were on the body integration stage. There was a stone statue on each side. It was also a spirit treasure puppet with an azure dragon on the left and a white tiger on the right. They looked lively and lifelike. The 2 of them could fight a mastery stage soul-splitting powerhouse together. Yi Chen had spent countless treasures and even destroyed a supreme spirit treasure to refine them. Apart from that, Yi Chen had left many tricks up his sleeves. It could be said that if he did not use Pangu's axe, the Yi residence would be the safest place on Earth. After Yi Chen finished his parents' breakfast, the family walked out of the house. Yi Wen, Xiaoye, Yang Hao, Yang Tian, and the rest were waiting at the door. Everyone looked at Yi Chen reluctantly. Some of them lowered their heads and cried, while others could not stop crying. Especially his cousin, Yi Wen. She ran and threw herself into Yi Chen's arms. Her tears drenched Yi Chen's clothes as she cried, "Brother, can you take me with you? I don't want to be separated from you." Yi Chen comforted her, "Silly child, you have your own path to walk. You can't stay by my side forever. I promise you that I'll come back for you guys once I stabilize in the spirit realm." Yang Tian was reluctant to leave too. He pursed his lips and said in a trembling voice, "Old Yi, you must miss me when you go there." The two of them looked at each other. They could see the reluctance in their eyes. Yi Chen smiled lightly and teased, "I will. After all, you're the best brother I've ever had." Yang Tian laughed out loud. He laughed until he cried. Yi Chen turned to look at the four witches standing behind the crowd and asked, "Are the four of you sure you won't leave with me?" The four witches shook their heads. "We're innate life forms of this world after all. Our responsibility in this life is to protect this world. After you guys leave, we'll turn into stone statues and sleep to continue our mission." Yi Chen nodded and could only give up. He then bowed deeply to the four witches, respecting the four of them who were born to protect the world. Everyone went up to say goodbye. Eventually, Yi Hai walked up and hugged Yi Chen hard. He said while sobbing, "I'll guard the house. Don't worry and go. Bring Yuhan and Meng Meng back. Come home soon." Wu Lan had already turned around while hugging Yi Ming. Her back was facing Yi Chen as she sobbed. Yi Ming seemed to be infected by the people's emotions. He pouted and looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen turned his head to look at everyone's faces. He remembered them in his heart. They were his closest family members, his brothers and sisters whom he could entrust his life to. The next moment, he stepped on the air and flew into the sky with the Patriarch of Hell, Yi Wushuang, Ing, the Golden Ape, the Golden Toad, and the rest. He couldn't bear to watch any longer. Even if home was the warmest place, he had something he had to accomplish. Even if he died, he had to move forward. The people on the ground waved goodbye to the distant stream of light. At that moment, all of Yi Chen's old friends in China looked at the sky. They could not help but recall the days they spent with Yi Chen. That young man had become the hero who saved Earth. Now, he was going to write his legend in the outer realm. He sighed and muttered to himself softly, "Farewell, Mr. Yi." As many of them had limited talent, they were destined to experience life, old age, sickness, and death. Perhaps when Yi Chen returned a few decades later, they would have already turned into dust. However, to be able to meet the godlike great Emperor Yi, their lives were not in vain. At the same time, the world spirit placenta in the depths of the sky trembled slightly. It seemed to be bidding farewell to Yi Chen before going back to sleep. On Kunlun Mountain, the new master of the Kunlun ruins, Xiao Ye, was in high spirits. Her eyes were firm as if she could see through the layers of clouds and see the green-clothed figure leaving. She clenched her fists tightly. "Master, I will definitely complete your task. I must become stronger." Meanwhile, everyone on Earth seemed to have a telepathic connection as they simultaneously raised their heads to look into the depths of the void. Although they could not see it, they could feel that someone very important was leaving them. He was going to a place that they would never be able to reach in their entire lives. They had already guessed that the legend of Earth would eventually leave today. At that moment, countless people knelt down and prayed into the distance. "Goodbye, great Emperor Yi." Some children were confused and asked the adults what they were doing. The adults would tell them a story. There was once an evil devil who wanted to destroy Earth. At that time, a powerhouse appeared and descended like a god. He killed the devil and saved Earth. That person was great Emperor Yi. Yi Chen might have left, but his story would be passed down. The people of Earth would remember everything he had done. Meanwhile, in an extremely dark place in the far north, it was bustling with noise and laughter. However, it was bustling with noise and laughter, as if they were celebrating something. At the table, There were many ferocious faces looking at the sky above their heads with resentment. One of the burly men with thick eyebrows and big eyes smashed his wine bowl hard and said happily, "He is finally leaving. Once he leaves, our chance to stand out will come. That's right. The day he leaves, we'll destroy his family. We'll capture his son to cultivate his divine technique and refine his parents into corpse puppet. In short, we won't let anyone with the surname Yi go." The black-robed man hiding in the dark corner laughed strangely and said in a sinister manner, "That's right, ha 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 ha." Everyone laughed heartily. All of them were enemies that Yi Chen had offended over the years, or evil cultivators who had committed heinous crimes. Most of them were half-crippled or hiding like rats, afraid that Yi Chen would kill them. Therefore, they hated Yi Chen extremely. It was Yi Chen who had caused them to lose everything and could only hide in this godforsaken place. All of them gritted their teeth, wishing they could pull out his tendons, refine his bones, and tear him into pieces. Now, the butcher's knife on their necks had finally been put down. They finally did not have to hide and live in fear. As long as Yi Chen was far away, they would slaughter the entire Yi family. They must not leave even a chicken or dog alive. Many people laughed ferociously, celebrating Yi Chen's departure. It was as if they could see the moment the Yi family was destroyed. Their smiles were even more terrifying and sinister. Boom! Suddenly, a gigantic foot descended from the sky, crushing everyone with a single stomp. The ground trembled, and a huge cave was formed by the foot. It was quickly filled by seawater. The entire world fell silent. In the air, Yi Chen shook his head lightly and said while laughing, "Do you really think I'm deaf? Killing you guys is easier than stepping on an ant." At the next moment, he flew away from Earth with his men. Earth became smaller and smaller until it turned into a blue pearl. At the same time, he sighed secretly and stared at the starry sky with determination. "Goodbye, Earth. Wait for me, Yuhan." End of this chapter. Chapter 1738. In the depths of General Mountain. Yi Chen led everyone to the ancient starry sky transportation formation. An old formation was engraved on the stone plate. It looked ordinary. Everyone looked at Yi Chen. They looked at the formation talisman on it, but did not know what it was. Yi Chen took a step forward. With a wave of his hand, a pile of spirit stones appeared. The formation was activated, and the spiritual energy on the spirit stones was instantly absorbed. They turned into powder and disappeared into the starry sky. Is this the starry sky transportation formation that fellow Yi mentioned before? The Patriarch of Hell's eyes flashed as he recognized it at a glance. Yes. Yi Chen nodded slightly. The ancient starry sky transportation formation talisman shone brightly. Suddenly, a ball of light rose. It was dotted with starlight and wrapped everyone in it, sending them into the passage. "Are we leaving?" He watched as the stars behind him streaked past him like a white line. Earth and the moon were left far behind. Even Yi Chen could not help but look back. He felt a trace of melancholy when he felt the stars that were connected to him by blood gradually getting further and further away. Then, his originally fast body suddenly accelerated. He was traveling at the same speed as the stars outside the passage barrier that surpassed the speed of light. The two of them were traveling opposite each other. Is this the starry sky transportation? Everyone could not help but exclaim when they felt the unbelievable speed. Yi Chen nodded. His eyes flashed as he explained, "In the starry sky, to go to other galaxies, one must rely on the starry sky transportation formation. If one travels alone in the starry sky, they will never reach their destination." "Is it that far? We don't feel that far now." Yi Chen smiled softly and pointed outside the passage. He continued, "That's because of this passage barrier. Those planets are motionless now. It's only because we flew past them that they turned into white lines." Everyone looked outside and was amazed. Yi Chen continued to explain, "The flow of space in the passage we're in is different from the outside. We've flown 1 meter here, which is equivalent to flying 1 light-year outside, or even further. Everyone came to a realization. On the deserted Sea Ascension planet, the surrounding starlight suddenly gathered in one place. The starlight flowed, and countless ancient mysterious runes leaped out of the water like fish, forming a star gate in the void. Yi Chen took a step forward and the group finally arrived at the Big Dipper region. Is this the Big Dipper star region? Some people gazed at the starry sky for the first time. There was only endless darkness and silence. The stars beneath their feet were shattered beyond repair. Countless rocks floated in the void, their life force extinguished. Only distant stars flickered with light. This is just a wasteland. Let's go. With a wave of Yi Chen's right hand, a spirit boat in his sleeve turned into a stream of light and flew out. It grew bigger and bigger in the air. There were pavilions and towers on the spirit boat, as well as all kinds of living facilities. The group of them got up and flew out. They boarded the spirit ship and crossed the void quickly, heading towards the vast starry sky. In the main hall of the spirit ship, everyone sat around. Yi Chen took out some fine wine and spirit fruits and drank a cup. He put down the cup and said slowly, "Although the starry sky is beautiful, it's extremely dangerous. Remember what I'm about to say." When everyone heard this, they put away their expressions of longing for the starry sky and frowned as they listened attentively. In the starry sky there are countless dangerous places. There are space-time turbulences, ancient forbidden lands, and even some beautiful space wonders. They're just traps that are used to hunt. There's a type of living creature that roams the starry sky called star beasts. They're powerful, so try not to kill them easily. He paused and continued, "The most common ones are star pirates. They're a group of dangerous cultivators who rob passers-by. They're extremely vicious. The Patriarch of Hell and the rest were also sharing their experiences of exploring the starry sky in their previous lives. They helped everyone understand the starry sky so that they could quickly adapt to the cultivation life here. At the same time, in the starry sky there were many star fragments and some huge star stones. These star stones were some common minerals and small stars that could not nurture life. Their surface was full of potholes, and they were hidden among the rocks. It was a paradise for star pirates and other criminals. The abandoned Riverwater planet was the base of the notorious Anyang space pirate gang in this area. "Boss, there's a big fish." A dim-witted star pirate rushed into the main hall in a hurry. The ferocious-looking Anyang star pirate gang leader with a scar on his face was drinking from a big bowl. When he heard this, he stood up abruptly and said happily, "Where? Lead the way." He picked up the blood-colored long saber by his feet and stepped out of the door. The other galactic pirates followed suit and grinned cruelly. There was business at their door. Rumble! In the distance, a stream of light fiercely hit the spirit ship's shield and exploded. The spirit ship shook violently and the shield dimmed slightly. After ending the conversation, Yi Chen and the rest, who were meditating and resting in their respective rooms, heard the commotion and rushed to the deck quickly. They saw all kinds of flying ships appearing in all directions, blocking the group's path. As far as the eye could see, many star pirates on the surrounding flying ships were holding weapons, looking eager to fight. The burly man in the lead carried a long saber on his shoulder and laughed wildly. He looked at the spirit ship with a greedy gaze. "Spirit ship? We're rich this time." The leader of the various flying ships was actually a soul-splitting powerhouse. In this Beidou star zone, a soul-splitting cultivator was already an overlord. After all, body-merging cultivators did not appear often. Therefore, they had repeatedly succeeded in this sea of stars and were wanted by many countries in the large planet. The bounty was frighteningly high. Unfortunately, they had encountered Yi Chen and the rest today. Yi Chen looked around. After examining the leader for a few seconds with disdain, he scoffed. "Wu Shuang, go kill the leader." Yi Wuxuang nodded and slowly walked out of the spirit ship with his sword on his back. He faced the group of wolves alone with his sword. The leader of the Star Pirates was furious. He was a soul-splitting powerhouse after all, yet the other party dared to come alone. He did not take him seriously at all. He was courting death. Blood Saber pointed and shouted, "Guys, let's attack together and kill him." The surrounding Star Pirates drove their flying ships forward. The leader's cultivation base erupted, and blood-red True Origin energy soared into the sky. He held a blood-colored long saber in his hand with a red glow surging on it. He took the lead and charged at Yi Wuxuang. Die! A blood-red saber gleam traversed heaven and earth like a scarlet half-moon, splitting the sky and earth as it swept toward Yi Wuxuang. Yi Wuxuang stood proudly in the air. His Taoist robe fluttered as he held his sword in his right hand. Whoosh! A crisp sound resounded through the starry sky. He drew his sword and sheathed it in one go. A bright white sword gleam instantly appeared before everyone's eyes. It was condensed like a thin line as it tore through the air toward the saber gleam. Boom! The saber gleam and sword shadow crossed each other. When the huge saber gleam encountered the thin line, it melted like snow meeting fire. Then, it quickly rushed toward the leader. Before he could react, the sword gleam flashed past. Warm blood splattered out, and the corpse was split into two. His eyes widened in fear, and he died with a grievance. One strike. He only used one strike to kill the other party's leader. End of this chapter. Chapter 1739. Silence. The starry sky suddenly fell into silence. The remaining galactic pirates looked at the corpse that was split into two floating in the starry sky. They panicked and were extremely terrified. Their faces were pale and they broke out in cold sweat. It was too terrifying. Run. The rest of the galactic pirates were scared out of their wit. They trembled in fear and fled in all directions with their flying ships. Yi Chen stood at the edge of the deck. He was also a little surprised by Yi Wuxuang's sword technique. He had made a breakthrough in his sword technique. Suddenly, he opened his fingers and extended his palm. A powerful suction force swept toward the flying ships that were fleeing in all directions. The black flying ship that was closest was sucked in tightly. One of the people on the flying ship realized that he was getting closer and closer to the spirit ship in fear. He shouted frantically, "No! Save me!" Nobody responded to him. The galactic pirates sensed that the aura of the person who had just attacked was even more terrifying. Instead, they exploded at an even faster speed. They flew away on their own without looking back. That person had been unleashing his soul formation cultivation base, but it was useless. He could only watch helplessly as he was sucked to the deck with a face full of despair. Yi Chen looked down at him. He had a pointy head and a thin face. Tears were rolling in his eyes, but he dared not cry. He asked slowly, "Is there any place around here where I can stay or trade information?" Yi Chen needed the ultimate water attribute energy and a way to go to the spirit realm. The easiest way was to buy information. The person's body trembled. He only snapped back to his senses after a long while. He kowtowed to the ground and cried, "As long as you let me go, I'll tell you everything." Yi Chen said coldly, "Either you tell me or you die." "I'll tell you. There's a trading planet nearby called the Black Cave Planet. I often go there with boss to steal things," the person replied hurriedly while kneeling on the ground. Taoist Master Tatian explained, "The so-called trading planet is a planet that allows cultivators from other planets to trade freely." Yi Chen nodded. He had known that before. Not long after, a corpse floated in the starry sky. This was a daily occurrence in the starry sky. No one cared about the interlude of the galactic pirates' robbery. At that moment, Ing stepped forward and said after thinking for a long time, "Yi Chen, I want to leave by myself." Yi Chen frowned and said softly, "Why?" Ing took a deep breath and insisted, "I have my own path to walk. I hope we can meet again in the future." With that, he disappeared cleanly into the void. Yi Chen had a complicated expression on his face, but he understood him. Ing was a prideful person. As an emperor throughout the ages, he was the most dazzling person in the world. Only by persisting in his own Tao could he become stronger. Moreover, Ing had helped him many times, so he was very grateful to have such a close friend. Yi Chen clasped his fists slightly to show his respect as he looked in the direction where Ing disappeared. After that, the golden ape and the golden toad walked out together and said in a muffled voice, "We're going to follow the master's footsteps. Everyone, let's part ways here. We'll meet again if fate allows it." With that, he left. Yi Chen clasped his fists and bid farewell again. "Fellow Taoist Yi, we should also go." Old Taoist Tatian was about to leave too. He invited Yi Chen to the clan. Yi Chen shook his head and refused. He shook his head and left with Hong Xiu. Yi Chen felt rather sad when he saw that most of the deck was empty and that most of the people had left. The Patriarch of Hell also sighed and comforted him. That's how cultivation is. Life, death, reunion, separation, and reunion are all very normal. Yi Chen nodded. They all had their own paths and their own missions. It was impossible for them to always be with him. However, he could not help but feel a little lonely. There were fewer people like him. He only hoped that they would be safe. The Black Cave Planet was a free trade planet in the Big Dipper territory. No matter who you were or what your identity was, you could trade here and be protected by the Black Cave Planet. Therefore, this place was also very popular with space pirates, sneaky people, and swindlers. The spirit ship that Yi Chen and the rest were on finally arrived at the trade planet, the Black Cave Planet. The three of them concealed their auras and looked like mid-golden core cultivators descending on the planet. Along the way, Yi Chen realized that the planet was not big. The planet was mainly composed of oceans, and the planet was filled with cultivators. The lowest cultivation base was at Golden Core, while the highest was at Soul Splitting. Yi Wushuang asked, "Big brother, what are our plans next?" Yi Chen thought for a moment and said, "Of course, we're looking for an ascension passage to the spirit realm." The spirit realm was a huge world. It could not be reached by crossing the void. One had to find an ascension passage to reach it. The group strolled around the Black Cave Planet. There were many cultivators who set up stalls, selling some treasures and spiritual plants that had been found in dangerous places and ruins. Yi Wushuang had been strolling around, asking for information. When they passed by the sea, an old Taoist priest took the initiative to come forward. After looking at the three of them, he invited, "Fellow cultivators, are you also going overseas to look for snow ink?" The old Taoist priest's cultivation base was only at mastery stage Golden Core. There were 3 men and a woman behind him. Their cultivation bases were similar, and they seemed to be independent cultivators. The snow ink that he mentioned was one of the main ingredients for refining the nascent cultivation pill. It was rather rare. Yi Chen was not interested. Just when he was about to reject, a young man behind the old Taoist priest suddenly said, "Fellow, I heard that there's a passage to the spirit realm overseas." Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat, but he said calmly, "The spirit realm is so far away. Are you trying to trick me to be your fighter?" The young man panicked and said immediately, "There's really a passage to the spirit realm. I saw a soul formation senior leaving through it with my own eyes." Yi Chen shifted his gaze and pretended to smile as he said, "The Ascension Passage isn't attractive to me. After all, I'm just a little cultivator on the intermediate stage Golden Core. However, this fellow's snow ink is attractive to me." The 3 of them agreed to join the old Taoist priest's team. The old Taoist priest then introduced proudly, "I accidentally found an ancient ruin deep under the sea. I've been at the periphery and later on, I found out that there's snow ink in the depth. Unfortunately, my ability is limited, so I can only ask for your help." The old Taoist priest continued, "I found the snow ink, so I want 30%. You guys can split the rest equally. Do you have any objections?" Everyone shook their heads. They had no objections. Such a distribution method was reasonable. They waited at the seaport for a while. after the old Taoist priest invited a perfect stage golden core young lady in black to join, he led everyone overseas. Yi Chen looked at the lady in black and realized that she had hidden her cultivation base. Her real cultivation base was actually at beginner stage void refinement. He secretly smirked without saying anything. Along the way, the young man had been wanting to chat with the lady in black. However, the lady in black was disdainful of them and said rudely, "With your cultivation base, you'll be courting death if you go to such a dangerous place." She even glanced at Yi Chen on purpose after saying that and said coldly, "Especially you." The rest were furious. The lady in black had offended them with just one sentence. End of this chapter.